Good morning, good evening, everybody. Today is the July 17th and is the July meeting of the Battery Park City Committee of Community Board One. We have quorum, 7 out of 8 people, and Jimmy is traveling, so he's not here today. And 8, because of people, we're good. 8 out of 8 to 10. And my name is Justine Puccia. I'm the chair of this committee. And
My name is Jeff Galloway, I'm the co-chair.
And our lovely committee is in the room, here as we go. We got Sharon, our assistant, and our esteemed chair, Tammy Meltzer, and we have our public members.
Member of the public.
Yeah, exactly, and a member of the public in person. All right, so, if we could pull up the agenda. Yes, please.
Here's.
Okay. That is our agenda, perfect. Okay, so the first thing we are going to talk about tonight is the closing or the potential threatened closing of West Thames Park in relation to local law 11 for 200 Rector Street. Let's see if we've got Jasmine Figueroa and other people. I want to put that, yeah, sorry, I'm going to get sharing. Participants and the attendees. So we should move into, as we can, we should be moving in, put in Matthew Fenton right now, to speak if he can.
I guess.
Show up. I don't know who'll be at the top. Okay, so if, Tim Grinzel, please, who's a board member. And for me, all right, I guess that's, Rick is for later. Rick, so hang tight, you'll be coming in later. And I don't know what the call-in users are. Could you identify yourself, call-in user 540?
Is it a strange flavor or is it too warm?
Request them all, and basically, how do you unmute? You're on the phone. Star six?
I always mix that with water.
I think so. Start with honor in the air. So invite them in. So you
There's
can see some,
Um,
who is Jasmine, Figueroa.
You'll need a cup of some sort.
Attend the,
All right.
I think the panelists that can speak. Someone's
Yeah.
about to speak, panelists, and we'll be back. Okay, so now everybody who's on the phone are panelists. Unmute yourself and just identify yourself, please, because we don't know who you are.
My name is Matthew Fenton. I am here along with my fellow board member, Tim Grinzel, representing the board of Liberty Court.
I see Tim, so Tim, you're a panelist now. I see 2 people, now that you're, I see 3 people who are calling users. Can the calling users identify themselves?
If not, they get food back down.
Can we say that Liberty Court is indeed Rector Street?
Place.
We need to.
Rector Place, yeah.
Rector Place.
Oh, this should be on the agenda. It should be Rector Place, because it is Rector Place, not 200 Rector Street. Sorry, I didn't catch it.
But also,
That's my
he
bad.
called it Liberty Court and it's not.
Okay, yes, it's not listed as Liberty Court. Same building.
Same
Okay.
building.
Okay, so,
We gotta be consistent.
calling users are not unmuting themselves, so let's just put them back as,
Back.
put them back down if they're not answering. Matthew and or Tim, can you reach out and see if Jasmine's gonna call in, please?
We're from the city.
I will try emailing her now.
Thank you so much. In the meantime, oh, Jasmine's here, yes, yay, Jasmine's here, so we'll run, please. Never mind. So, all right, Jasmine Figueroa, thank you so much for coming in. You are, a contractor representing E&G. And we've got Matthew Fenton and we've got Tim Grinzel from 200 Rector Place, Liberty Court Board. And we want to talk about the, extent of the scaffolding this year in relation to local law 11. Jasmine, if you would unmute yourself, we can pull up, or you tell me how you want to talk about it, or if Matthew, you want to introduce it as to what's going on, I don't care. But give a little bit of, background, please.
Hi everyone, can you hear me now?
Thank you, Jasmine, for coming on. I'm Justine, you missed my introduction.
Hi everyone. So I'm here in reference to the facade project for I'm the engineer that's managing the project.
Anything else, Jasmine?
Just let it be done.
Am I able to share my screen?
Can you see our screen? We would, yes, if you could, yeah, MJ. Yes, please do. You can.
Okay, one
That would be
second.
helpful.
Can you see my
Yes, we
screen?
can see it. People in the room, you have it. We all have that. It's hard to see in real life as in on the screen, yes. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Okay, so this is the DOB approved site safety plan to date. Which is basically the protection that's gonna be going around the building during construction. We have the sidewalk shed that is going to be down the sidewalk, both on the north and the south of the building. If you can see my cursor, we have it here on the bottom, at the south of the building, here on the north of the building. So that's all sidewalk shed that will remain during construction. And I understand that the part that we're here to discuss is about the playground and the basketball court, tentative schedule, closing or not closing. So to date, right now, our site safety plan shows to surround the area with Jersey barriers and to close, to keep the park closed during construction hours, which would be usually between 9 to 4:30 or 5 o'clock, and then to be open after work hours.
So now, this plan is based
Yeah.
on what, Jasmine? This is based on your discussions and your discussions with the Department of Buildings, is that accurate?
Right now, this plan is based off the rules from the DOB, that states that we have to protect an extent of half the height of the building or and its surroundings. It has to be half of the height of the building, which in this case, this building is about 46, 47 stories. So this is what the contractor submitted to the DOB right now. Okay, with ignoring the phasing part, I'm gonna get into that next. But this controlled access zone on the playground and the basketball court and all the greenery here is what was submitted to the DOB based on the regulations, and it was approved by the DOB. Now, this includes, like I said, the Jersey barriers around the playground and the basketball court and a little bit over here on the soccer field. All of this walking area would also be closed out, and we be directing pedestrians to walk under the building, since we have overhead protection within the building. This would be during work hours 9 to 5, and then after that, the park would be open to the public. And this is mostly when we will be working on what we have labeled here as phase 2. Phase 2 is all of these locations. I'm gonna zoom in a little so you can see. So wherever you guys see the word drop, that's where there's gonna be a scaffold located on the building at some point in time. Right now, our discussion with the board and where we're trying to talk to the DOB is regarding closing this area, dividing this construction into 2 phases. We're labeling phase 1 and phase 2. The plan is that as long as we maintain all of our equipment and materials on one half of the building at a time, we can control how much protection we have to have at a time. So the plan is to start at phase 1. So as long as we have all of our equipment located only as phase 1, we don't have to worry about protecting the park. Because usually, when we have a scaffold, the part of the scaffolding equipment extends across the building, and then technically we would have to protect above the park. But the way we've been able to manage the project is to have everything on the phase 1 side first. That this would be tentative starting early September. We would work here, and then that would only require the sidewalk shed in the north and the south. That needs to remain, but we wouldn't affect the park and the playground at that time. This work here is estimated to be about 6 months worth of work. And then, so if we start in September, the plan is to work as much during the winter as we can and finish it early spring next year, late spring next year, early summer, depending on the weather. And then during that time, we're trying to negotiate and talk to the DOB to see what they would allow for us to reduce the protection over the playground as requested by the board. We wanted to see what the DOB would allow us to do at the playground, because in the past projects that we've had on the building, the playground was not closed back then. We only had sidewalk shading on the greenery, but the playground was not closed. So right now, the DOB has been more strict about their regulations and about protection. We've had this throughout other projects. It's been happening all around. So we are still in conversations with the DOB to try to see what we can do. So phase 2 would start early summer next year. Ideally, it wouldn't require us to close the playground and the basketball court. It might just require us to put controlled access zone around the greenery and keep redirecting everybody through the bottom of the building. I mean, like this side of the building here that we have overhead protection within the columns, and then keep the playground open. That's the ideal situation that we're still working on. But as is right now, we have that the playground and the basketball court would be closed during work hours and open after that. So that's the summary of what we have going on right now. So right now the sidewalk shed is scheduled for installation August 17th. Estimated about a week or 2 weeks, just to be safe, for how long it'll take to install the sidewalk shed. So we're looking at August 17th to start, 2 weeks for actual installation, and starting the first week of September. When we discussed with Battery Park City, they were suggesting that we start after Labor Day, right around the time that school starts. So that way we would, that's in the case that we have to close down the park. They wanted to suggest that date so that the park could remain open until school started. And then once school started, we could close it. We met with Battery Park City already to discuss this plan. Originally, we wanted to start on phase 2 and then move to phase 1, and they agreed with our plan to close the playground. But I know that they had to have more conversations about it. I'm not sure if it's also with you. So it was initial conversation that we had with Battery Park City. We originally wanted to start in phase 2, get that done hopefully this winter, and that way we would control, you know, how long we would have the I'm sorry, I keep on getting muted. It says by the host. I don't know why it's happening. Hear me? Okay. So originally what we talked with the Battery Park City was to start at phase 2, which was the plan was to get it done during the winter. Less people using the winter, and then move on to phase one, hopefully getting the park open for next summer. But starting on phase one, so we can talk with. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening with the web thing. The WebEx keeps on muting me. So this is pretty much where we are right now. I'm open to questions anybody has. I can't hear anybody if anybody is speaking.
Um, Jasmine, this is Matthew.
Yes.
I would start with a question, please. Can everybody hear me? I'll
I
take
can
that
hear
as
you,
a
Matthew.
great. Jasmine, if I understand you correctly, the very broad maximal interpretation that we're seeing here of what DOB can require of us has always been the case, but it has never been enforced before. That's what's new. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you, first of all, for your entire presentation, which is very helpful and very informative, but for that insight, because what's crucial here is to acknowledge that the ground is shifted beneath us rather arbitrarily, because DOB has, for years, maybe decades, had legal authority to require these kind of onerous restrictions, has never invoked them before, and is now doing so. There's no question that they are within their authority to do so. However, there is a question of what is reasonable and what is the appropriate balance here. That is the crux of our appeal to DOB, which EDG is making right now, and we really, really appreciate it. But in order for that to have any chance of succeeding, we have come to the community board. And we have a couple of goals that we're asking you to consider. The first is that DOB's initial question, as soon as they hear that we're asking for the plan to change, will be, where does the BPCA stand in all of this? The BPCA has legal authority and standing to issue what's called a hardship statement, siding with the community to appeal to them and say that this would be an undue burden, please reconsider. Our second goal is that we're asking for CB1 to consider enacting a resolution supporting us, and I would say the community, because our broad interest here is not only to protect our residents who have claims to rely on. I'm sorry, am I coming through? Because I'm hearing.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Now I can hear you.
Yes.
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Matthew, for stepping in and speaking while us here, we're talking to ourselves. All right.
Did all of that nonsense come through, or did what I said
Yes.
through? Okay, I'm hearing a bit of an echo from myself, but that's not the end of the world. To finish the thought, we're asking CB1 to consider enacting a resolution supporting us and more broadly supporting the community, because really what we're looking for from from DOB, I'm sorry, is to be guided by precedent. They never felt that this was necessary before, but now they suddenly do. We've been through multiple local law 11 cycles in the last couple of decades. The park never had to be closed. Suddenly they're insisting it has to be closed. We feel that absent some explanation about changed information or changed circumstances, that is unreasonable. We're asking CB1 to consider a resolution to that effect. Third, we're hoping that our city council member, Christopher Marte, and other elected officials will support us and intervene with DOB and ask them to take a fresh look at this. Finally, another thing that DOB can be helpful, I'm sorry, that CB1 can be helpful with is bringing DOB to the table. It would be great if they would show up at a public forum like this one, perhaps in September, to explain, because the fact is, maybe they do have some new information that makes it urgent to do this. But if that's the case, it hasn't been shared with us. We just don't know what it is.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. And Jasmine, I was trying to say, but nobody can hear us. Thank you so much for that very in-depth presentation. What I'm gathering you said was that phase one would start in September, August, September. And my question, like a yes or no question answer is, if phase one is started, has that been approved to break it up into phases? Is that approved by the DOB yet? Yeah.
We discussed this with the contractor and his site safety manager that used to work for the DOB. And this is what he said that we could do to, to phase out the job without interfering with the playground. And his site safety manager used to work with the DOB, so we're confident in his proposal to separate it in phases like this.
Okay, that's step one. Now let's talk about phase two. Oh, actually, I should ask this question, to the Liberty Court Board and to this community, since this is now being put forward to us as a community board. Are you okay with the parameters set forth by phase one? Matthew, Tim, or anybody on this board first?
Tim, if you feel differently, I would defer to you, but my sense is the board has no objection to any of the work that is contemplated for phase one or any impact from that work.
Right, that's correct.
Anybody on the board? But go ahead, yeah. Phase two.
I guess, I mean, I'd like to understand from DOB thinking this. I mean, after all, we are talking about safety here. The whole reason the protocol exists.
Can you get closer to the microphone? I can't hear you.
I can't hear either.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
My comment was that I'd like to hear what DOB has to say about this, because it is a matter of public safety is what we're talking about. The reason the local law was passed in the first place is that someone was killed by debris falling off of a building by Columbia. And so I would certainly hate to be the person responsible for taking away the protection from the park, and then somebody gets killed or hurt when something falls off the building. It seems overkill is the wrong word. It seems excessive to be blocking off that much of the public space, especially since we have no history of that being done in the past. And recently at Gateway, they had this work done, and I don't believe they closed any part of Kowski Plaza as part of that similar work. So it does seem odd to close it, but I would want to hear what he has to say and understand the safety considerations.
Go ahead.
That's what we are working on right now. I'm trying to get a conversation started with casual conversation with the DOB before we submit any paperwork to amend our safety plan. I'm hoping to get an answer soon, but right now just going through the channels to try to see who I have to speak with off the record to see what their thought process is before we move forward with having like a big change in paperwork.
Marianne?
Thank you. This is Mary Ann Braverman. The slide that we see now has red on it. The edges, sorry,
That's where the work will be done.
That's where the.
that's where the work will be done, but then the scaffolding is gonna be way out in the park.
No.
No?
No.
Yes, the work is not gonna be done way out in the park. The work is gonna be done on the building.
No, I know that. But doesn't protection have to be expanded in a bigger area than it needs to be? That's what I'm trying to get, like, the red is the building, but,
So Marianne, so you understand what we have to do.
no, I know what you have to do. I'm trying to see where it is on here. Like, there's a lot of different dotted and straight lines that
Yeah,
are not in any color.
I'll explain it again, no problem. So, sidewalk shed would be on the sidewalk on the north and the south with this dashed line right here. And then the red is just a markup that I put there. That doesn't, it's not on the city safety plan, right? We have the scaffold drops around the perimeter of the building. And everything between the building and the edge of the park over here is gonna be protected with like barriers and netting. It won't have a
Barrier.
giant scaffold.
Okay, so barriers, but not coverage.
It's not gonna be covered.
I'm saying this because there are two buildings, one where Asphalt Green is and one over by the water, where they've got a sidewalk shed that goes way out on the Esplanade and that goes onto a plaza area.
Yes.
So I don't know why we're not gonna cover that sidewalk out there by the park area.
I think so, Jasmine, correct me if I'm wrong, but the shaded area along the bottom, along West, I believe you're requiring them to put up sheds that go all the way to the edge. Yeah, that's gonna be covered with sheds.
Edge
Yes.
foot means,
All the way to the edge of the greenway.
Yes.
right, but then not on the sidewalk between the
Because that's-
playground and
That's,
the green.
that's going to be closed off.
So
It's
so
gonna
we
be
won't,
closed off to pedestrians.
so we won't be able to walk up that sidewalk?
So we will, no, the only way to get, as it looks, the only way to get from West 10th Street here, that's coming in the north, is to go under the scaffolding that's going to be coming all
Then,
here.
whoa, stop there. Then you turn left and go up the
The
sidewalk.
only way to get here is going to be to go under our arcades.
And then what? And then what?
And then you're going to have to attach to the other side, go up those steps, which is again, not accessible to
They're
get
down.
there. No, there's up steps, there's no,
No.
it's up
Right
steps.
now, the front of that building on Rector
Yeah,
has a
outside.
slope.
no, it's closed. They are closing
They
the,
will be closing.
yes.
And then where are these stairs coming from?
The stairs are under the arcade. No,
That's right. So you're saying we can only use steps
Correct.
and not a,
correct.
All right,
That's why
that's
this is
the
not
problem.
acceptable. Okay,
Okay.
There's no ADA accessibility.
there's no ADA accessibility to get from West 10th Street to Rector Street. There's no way to do that because there is not ADA accessibility underneath the scaffolding where they're talking
so
about.
buildings is, just to clarify, buildings is not requiring that we build a gigantic shelter that covers all this terrain. They're gonna block it off from people walking there. I mean, they're gonna have to put up high fences to block people.
Well, look what they've done along the,
That's what I'm
go ahead,
saying.
Jasmine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna explain it in a way that makes some sense. Go ahead.
We're just gonna have netting, so the netting would be basically around the perimeter here. And then at the end of the day, the netting will be open so that people can enter and close. Exactly how the contractor's gonna do it, it'll be like pipe scaffolding probably, or just some wooden post that they can hold around it. Doesn't have to be 10 feet tall, it just has to be tall enough that people know that they don't have access. So that,
Only for phase two.
Only for phase 2, but that's gonna be at least 6 months
Yeah, during the summer.
during the summer.
Next summer.
The other question I have, Jasmine,
Well,
I'm not there yet, yeah.
the schools utilize that park daily.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
My child's school goes there all the time.
Every day, yeah,
Yeah.
the daycare centers, so,
So,
I have,
this is-
I have a review about these,
Garden plots.
garden plots that are in
There's
front,
three of them there,
yeah,
yeah.
there's 3, you only see 2, but there's 3.
One's
Will they have to be scaffolded over, or are they just gonna be blocked?
everything's just gonna be blocked out. Nothing is gonna have, this whole area will not have any sidewalk shed, any scaffolding.
So, what is this point of this red?
This That is just following the building, doesn't affect anything. It is just to show like that this is how we plan on phasing this out. Like the red doesn't affect anything, just literally the building.
Yeah. That's the building there for the red, right, exactly, so that's not it, but it's,
Jasmine, the scaffolding is gonna be built top to bottom against the building so that they can go work outdoors on, am I right?
The sidewalk
We're
shed
gonna-
on the south here, it'll go up against the building. Over here, it'll end at the sidewalk only. And then,
No, but How high is the scaffolding?
About 20 feet, I believe.
Like the guys who are working out there, there's two different things that I'm trying to make sense of. To me, scaffolding is on the building itself.
So the groundwork, we're using support scaffolding, we mean the shelter.
We mean the sheds. We mean sheds, okay. So
Okay.
the sheds will just be around the perimeter of the building within the red.
No,
Oh,
no.
no, I'm sorry, no.
Here,
Ignore me, that was just.
right from here, that's all the sidewalk, if you want to put them shed.
Oh.
Sidewalk sheds are gonna be all.
I got it. So
Okay?
now the red has moved closer to the building.
Because that is the building now.
So the red is just meant to show the building, not a periphery that's gonna have anything built around the building.
Right.
And everything over there is going to be allegedly not shedded, is that correct? This is not shedded, it's just closed, or it's partially shedded?
None of this is gonna be shedded. None of the park green area, none of this. This is just gonna be closed off. Around the greenery, we're gonna have some netting. Battery Park City will have access to it so they can water their trees and everything. All this is just simply gonna be closed off. Nothing is gonna be built like large, just whatever is enough to hold some netting around it to close it off.
But it will be 100% closed.
During
from-
work,
It's gonna be underneath the, I'm gonna call it the arcade that's already built in. That's it. Okay, so now that's what we understand to be. Now let's get some plans from my committee as to the extent.
Can I have one thing? to
Yeah.
that? I mean, it seems to me that we're gonna want, ADA accessibility on that route. And the only way to get it is to have some shedding along that route, irrespective of whether the park is open or closed. It seems to me that you would want to have some shedding so that you could pick up those ramps that take you up to Rector or geography looks like.
Yeah.
But you're gonna need some shedding on the side of that building.
Rector Park itself is a little elevated, just like the entrance to
Right.
the building. Whereas then you go down a bit to the West Thames area park.
So
Yeah.
everything is elevated. So the steps, all the way along there, there's steps and they're
Yeah.
blocking the access. So we don't have shedding or I'm gonna call it shedding. It's not gonna be going over to where, out of our front door, on the Rector Street, Rector Place side. It's not going to go any shedding.
Here it is. It's all along here. This is the edge of your building.
It'll be on the Rector Street
Also,
walkway,
it's
sidewalk.
It just needs to
Here.
come out a little bit more.
In
to
fact,
get
it
there.
almost looks,
It
no,
doesn't have
no,
to be
that's
a
a
thing, but
pie.
it should be a way for people who are, in a wheelchair or in a stroller or whatever, scooter, that they
To
can
go up
pop
and
out
down,
from
yeah.
underneath the, you know what I'm saying, Jasmine? They could pop out from underneath the arcade and get to the,
Yeah, it doesn't have
Ramp.
to be a huge.
it doesn't have to be huge.
There's a little walkway.
Well, wait a minute, no.
There's a walkway there already, we see the shedding on top of
Yeah,
it.
that's all you need.
Yeah.
A small little bit extra. Does that make sense, Matthew and Tim?
here, you would need it, just to see if I follow, they would need it to come this way and then this way. correct?
Yes, that's correct. And in the area where you just made the second line, the north line there?
Yeah.
Is that open space? That's not a problem? You just have to get us from underneath the arcade out to the,
Heading north, yeah.
yeah, heading north. You just have to get us there, so maybe it's just a little bit more spit, which I guess is a new shedding for Tim and,
Yeah,
Matthew to consider.
the case, then we'd have to basically add a sidewalk shed to this area here.
I wouldn't want to shed the whole area unless you were having to do it anyway, but if you could just add a little bit. Is that possible?
It's possible, we can do it. before
It's gonna
it
cost a lot.
freeze.
I mean, yeah, it's gonna
Maybe-
cost a lot more.
Maybe,
Already you're talking
maybe,
over.
maybe the authority would like to help out with this.
Yeah, right, yeah, they're not going to, because everybody else had to pay more. I mean, every other building has to. But it's $2 million almost already right now for this.
Do we expect that all
And
the,
then for-
do we expect, Jasmine, that all the roadways around there will stay open So they want to hyper protect the park area, but they're not worried about
The law doesn't
cars
require-
stopping
the law-
and deliveries coming in and out
The
and.
law doesn't require it, it stops at the street. So basically, the law has always been the
Okay.
same for local law 11. It requires you to build out the shedding to the street, and that's it. I know,
Then why is the Esplanade covered over so much? Because it's on
in my
street,
opinion,
right? It's
because they
walkway.
can.
And the Esplanade, so we have, I'm actually on that building, so we have the sidewalk shed coming up against the building where, it's usually where people walk and that first set of benches. And then we have the second set of benches with trees. And the area that is between that last set of trees and the edge of the water will have a control access zone, which is also netting that will be closed during work hours and open afterwards. We haven't started doing that yet because we're not working on that facade of the building just yet. But that is the plan. It is gonna be closed off with netting during work hours and then open after work hours.
And which building is this one?
380.
This is 380?
Yes.
But down by the water.
It's
Going down
gonna,
by
it's
the
gonna
water.
go farther out.
Originally, the
It's
deal
gonna go
wanted
down.
us to have that sidewalk shed go up against the water, and we amended it to have what the control access zone because it was an excessive shed. So we asked them to allow us to do the netting instead during work hours, and they approved it. That's why we also submitted that same idea here instead of fully shedding up this area, which I don't even know if we could, honestly, and the contractor, they don't even know if we could. And that's why we went with the control.
Okay, and then let's focus on 200 Rector, Place, because that is the building that came and asked us for help. The other buildings didn't come to us and ask us for help.
But if they are in fact, that's amazing.
I agree. I invited the other buildings, that's why I was looking at those. I invited them to come.
Department of Buildings in the Battery Park City, because Battery Park City Authority has to issue the permit to close the Esplanade.
Correct, they have to issue the permit, I understand that here,
Yes,
but
and they have.
they have for the other buildings, because the other buildings didn't push back.
The Esplanade.
That's what she just said.
Apparently, that's what she just said, I don't have that information, tell me. Vince, do you have any information about that? He may not either, I don't know. But then,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry?
speak up if you know
What's the
about it.
question?
Who are you asking?
We're asking.
Nick Bordell.
Nick Bordon, you see him there?
I'm here. Good evening. Hello, everyone.
Do you have any information? I know
Can,
talk
can-
about 380 Rector.
can you hear me?
I see you, thanks.
Hey, guys.
We hear
Okay, what's the
you,
question?
Nick.
What's the question?
Do you have any information about 380 Rector Place? Not us, not 200 Rector, but 380 by the water. Jasmine was saying that there's going to be a requirement later that the Esplanade be closed down during work hours. Are you aware? I mean, you may not be aware. We
I
prepared for
wasn't
200.
tracking that. I can get back with you. What I know is that originally there was a proposal to have the scaffolding, I think, be a lot more obtrusive than it is now. And we had kind of
Correct.
pushed to try to get it scaled back as best we could with DOB, and that was, we were successful on that front. But beyond that, in terms of more detail with 380, I don't know.
The entire Esplanade won't be closed down. It'll only be the section that does not have the sidewalk. So the idea is that we're gonna redirect.
As far as we're
everybody
concerned.
to the sidewalk shed that is actually a perimeter of the building.
Because under the sidewalk shed, you can reverse it, but you're not gonna be allowed.
So there'll be nobody, so you're gonna be forcing all the bikes, the pedestrians, the scooters, the wheel trailers, everything under on the upper
Okay,
walkway.
They can
Well,
either
it's-
go out from through the roundabout at either side of the building, or they follow the sidewalk shed that is right now under by
Thank you,
the
Jasmine.
edge of the building.
Eric, go ahead with your questions.
My concern is closing this playground
Oh.
for so long. It's during the summer. Phase 1 is obviously fine. Phase 2, we're closing it from, I imagine, 9 to 5.
Yes.
And it's,
Well, eight.
there's two parts here. My kids are there right now, but my kids don't go there till about 5, 6. But there are a slew of families that don't go to daycare, that don't go to camp, who take their kids there around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I saw some 30 this morning using that.
All day long. There are
That's a
programs there all
very
day long.
popular park to be closing down for the entire summer of 2024. And I know you had said that you're trying to not do this, but what are the options to not do this?
Right now, I'm still trying to figure it out with the DOB. What we originally were trying to do was start phase 2 this year, so that way, in the fall, winter, spring, there's less people trying to use it, so it wouldn't impact as much as during the summer. That was the original plan. But the board requested that we
But that
try to do
doesn't sound
phase 1 first and try to get through with the DOB. The thing is with the DOB, it requires a lot of paperwork, right? So for us to actually get them to approve us doing the work without any protection and everything, we'd have to like first this initial conversations, meet on site, have an amendment done to this site safety plan, get it through the DOB, which will take at least a month or so, and that will push back our schedule. That's also why.
A month sounds.
Sorry?
A month of paperwork sounds a lot better than closing a park to a number of children.
Yeah.
So yeah, if there's anything we can do to push along that paperwork to help you out, then fine. But I think the paperwork route should be taken to find some, either amend the hours or find a way to keep this open safely for these kids, especially during the summer. Winter's a different story, but summer, it's too much.
Betty, go ahead.
Thank you.
And talk loudly.
I have two things. First of all, addressing that, I agree with Jeff, safety is one of the issues. Everybody dancing around, but the DOB is not actually saying anything. Everyone's saying, my contractor says this should be okay. That doesn't mean the DOB said anything. So, then I happen to be on the call.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
Okay, I think it's because she works for DOB, so that's always helpful. So one, I would want to, I do see the paperwork, yeah, should be done. But I'm not saying that I definitely want the park open under all consequences until I hear something from the DOB. Because again, it's Monday through Friday, 9 through 5, that you're talking about closing. You're not talking about weekends.
Correct. That's my understanding.
The other part was you'd spoken about funneling everybody, the scooters, the bicycles, everybody, and those are illegal on the sidewalk in the first place.
Yeah.
So as soon as you are encouraging them, you are endorsing illegal activity. So I don't see why the City Authority would be opposed to you saying no bicycles or scooters are allowed on this route. Because it's the right of way and it's sidewalk.
Good point. Good point. Anybody else on the board? In the room? Tammy, and then I'll call on.
I'd like to suggest that we do a resolution. I would suggest that we can use the past precedent of what has been done in the neighborhood. We can use the concerns raised by the neighborhood, by the community groups, for two parts. One, urging the Battery Park City Authority to send a note to DOB about undue hardship for public space. We don't have Wagner Park. You're missing Wagner, the Battery, and all the space around Pier A. So closing of this just compounds the issues that we have and puts a community into a dangerous location without accessibility, without walkability. It's not safe. And in general, a larger issue. And to the DOB specifically looking for it to rely on the precedent to remain the park, to leave the park open, period.
I think that's a great resolution. I think that, I believe that, Matthew, and I'm gonna put, let me call on Tim, but I think that the Liberty Port Board has suggested that another thing that can be done, and we can ask that the Battery Park City Authority to do, is to write a letter, talking about undue hardship and asking them to, it's reconsideration, because obviously with all this, as Betty said, said, safety first. But I am frustrated by the fact that the law didn't change. It's just the interpretation of the law that has changed. And that's where it's an interpretation. So who changed? Why did it get more strict? And we don't know the answer until the DOB camp comes. DOB was invited. They chose not to. They've been invited to the executive committee as well. It's good to know about the phases, so we do have more time to get them back in September. I wasn't sure that was going to be the case, but I'm going to call on Tim Grinsell. I'm going to call on Marianne Paranti, who I think is caller number 917699, but I'm not positive. But you're now a panelist, so you can unmute yourself when I say your name. And then I'm going to call on Jonathan. So go ahead, Tim. Unmute yourself.
Thanks, Justine. And thank you to the board for helping us with this issue. As I believe many people have mentioned, this isn't a building issue so much as a community issue. Wagner Park is now closed, as I think many of you know, and that leaves park areas in South Battery Park for children to play in pretty thin on the ground. As many people have said, this is a crucial resource for the community, and we would like as much help as we can convincing the Department of Buildings to come to a sensible resolution of enforcing their regulations. We do feel like we're kind of on the arbitrary end of a sharp stick, as you can see in many of the diagrams and just walking around Battery Park. The Department of Buildings doesn't enforce these shedding requirements over streets, for example. So even though the park is further away than many streets are in their adjacency to buildings, there are no safety or shedding requirements there. In addition, in the past, we have not been required to close the park, and there has been no compelling reason why things have changed, advanced for this change in course. So while I, and I'm sure the rest of the board completely agrees that safety is the #1 priority, there has to be some sense to DOB's decision making, and we're just not seeing it. And for that reason, we would very much appreciate any help we can get in pushing the DOB to a more sensible decision in line with their previous rulings. Thank you, everyone, for your consideration. Unfortunately, I do have to leave quickly.
No, thank you so much, Tim, for that. I appreciate it. All right, so Marianne Ferrante, you're unmuted now, Marianne. So, oh, she did herself. She knows how. Unmute yourself and go ahead and talk, Marianne. You're muted, so I can't. You unmute her. We're gonna unmute you, Marianne, if that's you. She's go ahead, Marianne, if you are 91769, you are unmuted. Oh, you can't actually unmute. Okay, well, you're not unmuted, but please.
How does she unmute on a
Star
phone?
6
Something
on the
different.
phone, I believe it starts at.
There's a mute on the phone. There's a mute button.
I can't chat with you, Marianne. I can't do anything.
Go to the next person,
Yeah.
and just come back.
And then Jonathan.
I'll get it.
Thank you very much for letting me speak. #1, I'm a real estate broker all over the city. I see sheds everywhere. I've never seen something like this. They don't cover side, they don't cover streets, they don't cover the next building over. All they do is cover around the building, no netting. And you can just go up and down Fifth Avenue, and Park Avenue, and see that. So I don't understand that. #2, I don't know what it would cost, speed it up. Do it in 3 months instead of 6. And #3, start that side first in the winter. Don't start the park side in October, November, so then we don't lose the summer next year.
That's a possibility, but, yeah.
It's *6 to unmute yourself when you're directed so by the host. So you
Yeah.
must request, that you must ask them to unmute.
And then you push it. So Marianne, I would love to hear from you. I don't know if that's you or not. Let's look on the bottom and see. I just don't see a name. I see a phone number. Maybe. Keep going. I just don't see where Marianne. All right, I don't know what to do except. Yeah. Yeah, people who are in the chat, I don't hear you see you raising your hand. Star 3 raises your hand. Star 3 raises your hand, star 6 unmutes you when you're invited.
If you're on the phone.
If you're on the phone, the regular users do it. Okay, so I would like, Ursula's raising her hand. Ursula, you may speak. You're unmuted, Ursula. Go ahead and speak.
I just
Yes.
want to
Yeah.
echo speakers who went before me to say that it seems very arbitrary. And, we've had this on record by the boardwalk. And if there is anything we can do as a community in terms of who we should write to or who we should reach out to, maybe set up a forum, I would be happy to.
We can't hear you anymore, Ursula.
She muted herself.
Oh,
No,
I think I
it's
was
okay.
done. It was nothing very profound.
Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much. We appreciate it. All right, so, I'm going to imagine that, Marian Ferrante, who is just a former board member of the, 380 Rector Place building, was gonna make a comment about that, and maybe she had some information, but if she can't speak, I don't know what to do.
She can chat with the host.
She can chat with the host, maybe you can chat on your phone, but it may not work. And yeah, I don't know what to say.
Do we want to talk about a resolution?
Yes, I'd like to move on to talk about a resolution is the next thing. But before we do that, I'd like to tell you that I did walk around to every daycare in Battery Park City, and I dropped off an invitation to this meeting, told them they can call in. I was told by, the Battery Park Day Nursery, I think that's the most current iteration of its name, that they do use the park, as does, the Montessori school. And then I did speak with the Russian school, who were not aware of much of anything, but they're not, well, they have kids, they just weren't sure what to do. And then
I think
the,
we just now.
yeah, I think it's math. And, the school that is in, 2 South End Avenue, their kids are so small at this point, they don't use any of the parks.
But they do go outside.
They walk on the Esplanade, and they were very concerned about the Esplanade being shut and then
They
called
do go
off.
outside.
But they do go outside, but yeah, so they want to say they were there, of course, we support you, not close to the park, but we don't use it. And that's what I have to say about that, but I think we should move to doing a resolution. And,
sorry. I have a question.
Jasmine, yes.
So the big part of having these conversations with the DOB and figuring this out from my end is to understand where everybody wants to start. Because I need to be no for sure. So that way I can actually push on the DOB. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start on phase 2 or do we want to start on phase 1? My bit on phase 2 was the fact that if worst case scenario, we still have to close out the park, it'll be during the winter where there'll be less people using it. And then, phase 1 will give us more time to go back and forth with the DOB and try to have this resolved. So those are like the 2 reasons to take each side. But I needed a clear direction on which one we are pushing for, so that way I can move forward faster and get what we need done faster.
That
If-
makes sense, yeah.
If I may add a
I
thought
think
here.
that's between you and them, but go ahead, Matthew.
That is in fact a building issue for the Liberty Court to decide, and it is decided. We want to begin on the west side of the building, phase 1, to buy time to figure out a way not to have to close the park on the east side. So Jasmine, I don't want you to be slowed down by any lack of clarity about that, please.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thank you, Matthew. That's what I was gonna say. I think that's between Liberty Court, 200 Rector Place, and the contractor, Jasmine and her company. That said, we do want to weigh in and do a resolution about phase two. No, we're not gonna call it phase two. We're gonna talk it and phrase it as the closing of, the public space that is West Thames Park and the playground.
I think the resolution should be, I tried to scribble down both Anthony's comments and the comments of others here, but I think it's the broader issue in Battery Park City of more expansive shedding being required for local law 11 work this year than has ever occurred in the past. And so what I've kind of scribbled down here is a whereas that would note that,
Yes.
as well as noting what's proposed for 200 Rector and what we understand is the approved plan for 380 Rector, which would be to essentially cut off the non-shedded portion of the Esplanade near 380 during work hours. And so we would know that that's the situation we're dealing with. Whereas we acknowledge the safety concerns being legitimate, and the be it resolved portions would be to ask the BPCA to weigh in on the importance of having these park spaces available, particularly in light of the other parks being closed right now. We would, let's see, I can barely read my handwriting here now. And you would have it be it resolved that the buildings, the DOB, meet with us and present and work on ways to minimize the closing of these public spaces, consistent with the safety requirements and whatever local law 11 actually requires. I guess those would be the be it resolves, and whereas we also reference the precedent of the previous years, similar work has been done on all of these buildings without any closures of these parks and the Esplanade.
And we have photos to prove it.
When you talk about the BPCA, whichever one second, whichever one that was, when you spoke about them, we should also enforce that there has to be an accessible route.
Oh, yes, and accessibility,
Yeah.
right.
Yes, I was gonna say that, and I was gonna say the letter about undue hardship from BPCA, we're gonna request that they do that.
And we also want to state on our own that the community board one knows, based on community feedback, this is an undue burden on the community. And we do need to tag in there the complete closure and demolition of Wagner.
Yes.
Right, the closure of large portion of the space around Pier A and the Battery.
So not much of a well-drafted resolution at this point, but I think we get the.
I think we have to just have a, yeah, should we make a note also, and I don't know if we should, so I'm asking the question. Should we make a note also that, as at Albany Street, at 350 Albany, they already have not made it, ADA accessible because the only in.
That's a separate resolution.
Okay, because we should.
About that, we should do something specifically targeted to that in the Esplanade,
Okay,
which can be active.
okay. Do it, because that's a problem.
Alrighty.
All right, so, do we want to vote on this? Can we vote on, are you guys comfortable enough based on this, and we'll share it around?
Yeah, we'll certainly.
I second that. You're calling a question.
I'm calling a question, yeah. I'd like to vote on it, and we'll share it around so that everybody gets the wording, understands it, and, we are able to have a conversation to share it. And then if you forgot something, say it before the full board. All right?
Okay.
Yeah, let's vote. Everybody who's in the room who agrees, raise your hand. I think that's unanimous, but anybody say no?
If Jimmy Sung is online, he must have his camera on to vote.
So, line. I don't think
He was.
Oh, was. I didn't see him.
I saw him.
He's gone now.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't see Jimmy. Okay.
He's further down the pipe there.
Okay, abstentions, recusals, no, good, so this passes, perfect, so that passes. All right, Jasmine, Matthew, Tim, who else? Anybody else who's here for this conversation? I appreciate your being here, I appreciate your input, thank you so much.
Justin,
And Nick, you,
Justin, can you hear me? This is Kiran.
and go ahead,
Hello?
quick, because we closed. Yes, I hear you speak.
Okay, I just had a question. Does anybody know if 225 Rector is actually doing the local law 11 work? And if it is, when is it scheduled? Because they will too have the exactly same problem.
They finished, oh, okay, Jonathan Justin seems to believe it's finished already. I don't know is the answer.
Yeah, you know, they did have sheds over.
Okay, so I don't know the answer.
So I think that we
but
need to,
Jonathan does.
if we can
Jonathan
find
said it's
out,
done.
because they are in the same vicinity of the park and the the basketball court. So if they were given a waiver, then we should basically follow the same procedure.
Yeah, so I hear you and what Jonathan Johnson is saying, and I believe him because he pays attention to the level as a real estate agent that I don't. That they did their scaffolding, no parks were closed, because they'd be adjacent to the full grown-up basketball courts and the community gardens, and nothing was closed.
Exactly, they just had a shed around the building,
That was it.
and that's it.
Yeah, I think they may have had a shed along the walking path, that's it.
That's it.
But yeah, so which would be reasonable. Anyway, okay, thank you so much. And I think I'm gonna close this,
Okay.
yeah. I'm gonna close this topic down. Lucy, I see you, and yes, we can talk to the board president. We'll talk later. Thank you. Please stay on if you can. There's more things we're talking about that are important, but I really appreciate this. So let's move Matthew, Kieran, that's the 908, 917. Move them out.
Just let her do the design stuff.
Yeah,
Keep
and
going.
Jasmine, thank you so much. And I'm gonna need you to pull up the next agenda item. Everybody here, perfect. Thank you. Next is, we're gonna have the construction bi-monthly update, from Rick Fogarty. We're gonna need to move Rick over. While you're doing that, I wanna thank Bidam Shabini for being here from, Assemblymember Hall's office. I really appreciate you listening to all this and, being here and being supportive, so thank you. Rick Fogarty, Nick, do I move anybody else?
I don't think quite yet. Dan Dixon from our team is on when we get to the Greenway Playscape item, which is not quite yet, but
Dan Dixon and Mimi, but I don't know if she's on yet.
he was
That's
on.
fine.
She had to jump off, but if she comes back on, I'll let you know.
Thank you. But okay, at this point, we're gonna go to Rick. And Rick, you're up, buddy. Let's see. So Rick, introduce yourself.
Hi,
Let
how
us
is
know what's
everybody doing? I'm Rick Fogarty. I am the community liaison for the South Battery Park Resiliency Project. And thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here to share what we're doing on our project. So I want to make sure first, I am sending out 2-week construction notices. They're on the project website, so you can access them there, but I also have them sent out via our distribution list. I will put the information, my information in the chat, so you have that. If you'd like to sign up, feel free to email me and I can get that, get you added to the distribution list, so you have those updates. And those are sent every 2 weeks. So the next,
And Rick,
yeah, yes.
the interruption, and I'm just gonna ask Lauren and Tammy and Onaj, and Ed's not here right now. It's Lauren. That's Lauren, okay. If we can, just add that information into the next community board newsletter and have it as a regular thing, because there are people who wanted to know how to sign up, and yeah.
We actually forward his, every 2 weeks, we forward his to the full board, and it goes out in our newsletter, so.
Okay, thank you so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah,
Rick.
no problem. So right now we have the next notice coming out Friday. So that will be, and I'll go through this. Right now, we're still doing some demo work in the area of Wagner Park. We're in pretty constant coordination with the Museum of Jewish Heritage, so we've been working with them quite a bit. The biggest thing that's happening right now that will be continuing over the next probably couple of months is going to be piles. We're putting in piles. We're still removing materials, so you will see trucks coming in and out of the Wagner Park, out of the area. So we do have flaggers on site to make sure that everybody's protected with those trucks coming into the street, and that the pedestrians along the walkway are protected. So we are salvaging some of the materials that are in that area, so they will be reincorporated into the park. And right now we're also working on. Right now we're working on First Place. There's some, I think, some of the planters in that area. Conduit installation is taking place along First Place. Again, we've been in coordination with the museum about their loading dock and making sure that that they have access to that as need be. So, I know the August. Do you guys take a break in August?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So probably between now and September, I would anticipate that there will be some work starting on Pier A Plaza. I don't know dates on that yet, but that will be coming up, and I will make sure that that's added into the construction notices, so everybody's aware of when that's starting up. So the other notable thing right now is, and Tam, I know you would ask about this. The reports are the air quality monitoring reports are being added to the SBPCR website. The most recent one was added, I think, last week. Obviously the fires made some hits, so if you see that's noted in there. For dust mitigation, we do have watering, so we are aware of dust in the area, especially right there on the waterfront, that wind comes off the water. But we do have water mitigation measures in place for that. So that's pretty much most of what I have right now. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have. If I can't answer it here, I'll take it back to the team, and I can certainly get a response and bring it back to you. But I'm more than happy to answer questions.
Thanks so much, Rick.
You bet.
So at this point in time, where are the monitors, the air monitors, I'm assuming? How many do you have and where are they?
Well, we actually have some, I think there's a mobile monitor. So the mobile monitor it moves around to take different measurements. And let's see, we have monitors. I'm looking at the report real quick. I have to get familiarized with it. So there's 3 monitoring stations. And they're, let's see, real-time remote sensing. Let's see, 1 mobile workstation. Let's see. Let me find out for you. I can send that data over to you and make sure, but it's probably, I know it's in the report. I just can't read that quick to identify exactly where all are. You bet.
Thank you. This is a work in progress. This is your first report, so it's okay not to know. Get back to us.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions?
They're on schedule, right? You're on schedule.
Yeah, we're on schedule right now.
On schedule. Okay, that's good.
You're not ahead.
No.
We're not ahead.
Not ahead.
No,
Oh, well.
Betty.
Hey, guys,
not that I know of. I'd like to be.
and Rick, when you do the report, you're a mobile station, that's great, but do you mean mobile within the day, or do you mean it's mobile, it could be moved if it's needed somewhere else? How do you define what mobile is?
Yeah, it's mobile. It can be moved. It's called a ranger. It moves around the project site so they can measure it in different locations.
So within a given day, it measures multiple locations.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
a given day, that's.
But it's not moving itself like a Roomba, is it?
I don't think it's self-powering. No, I think it has to actually be transported by somebody, but yeah. That'd be kind of cool.
Okay.
It's a good invention.
Could you tell us a little more about the piles? Like when some of the bigger buildings in the neighborhood were built, we had pile driving, and we had it weekends and early mornings.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the extent of this pile driving you'll be doing?
So our construction times are from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we're relegated to those time frames. We're not doing night work or weekend work at this time, and I don't anticipate it at this time. If that does come up, I will let you know. But so 7 to 3 is the time frame when we would be doing the pile work. And yes, there is noise that does come along with pile driving. It is a pretty intense process. The benefit right now is, school is out, but it is pile driving and there is no way around it, but it does have vibration and noise. And the vibration monitoring as well. We are working with the museum about vibration monitoring. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Rick, there is an agreement with the Battery Park City Authority that pile driving would not be done at 7 a.m. And that, much like we do with DDC, with every single construction project that is in a neighborhood that has residential housing, which you have next door to you and across the street, 7 a.m. is not a pile driving time. It is a time for loading in of equipment, but pile driving was not supposed to start until 9 a.m.
So please take that back. Don't stop that.
We really need you to,
Beyond that,
Apply with that.
it doesn't make a difference whether school is in session right now, whatever the thought is, people live there. 9 a.m. is the start time. And I know that Nick will back me up because I personally talked to him about it. He understood and he said he would transfer the message. I know he's just back from vacation, so I don't want to throw him under the bus, but, Rick, 9 a.m.
I'll take that back to the team.
thank you.
You bet.
That's important.
Sure.
Along with the pile driving, have you had any soil samples done? And what have you found from the soil?
I don't know about soil sample testing. I can check on that and find out, but
That might be regular questions. We're gonna ask you about the air regularly. We're gonna ask you about the soil that you found. And then, of course, you'll hear from us about the noise.
yeah, definitely regarding the air, the best place I can tell you to check would be the monthly, which are posted on the website. That's going to be the most up-to-date information on that. So, but I'll take the soil question back and I can get back to you on that.
How about on the schedule? Did they say?
They're on-
It's a draft.
they're on schedule, yeah. Anybody in the attendee section have a question? No hand or up.
How about Lauren? Does Lauren have any
Yeah,
questions?
you have any questions, Lauren? You're welcome to ask on any of these things.
I do hear it.
Oh, well, please report. This is important. So
Let's say nice and loud enough so Rick understands.
Well, I do have the pleasure of hearing the drilling every morning, I believe at 8 a.m. It's not pleasant for me, but I make it through.
Where are you
She
exactly?
lives in the building next door.
50 Battery Place. So that's,
And on the second floor.
okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
So here we have a monitor of our own.
We need a monitor of our own. That's right, exactly. So yeah, 9 o'clock, please. And I'm loving that you're doing it when school's out because that's distracting, but maybe we can get it
People
done.
work from home now.
But yeah, as you say, people work from home, so that's gonna be difficult, but 9 a.m. I see
take that
no
back to the
hands
team.
raised. Thank you, Rick.
You
I
bet.
see no hands raised in the attendees. Tammy?
I have one last, we used to get a lot of complaints, Rick, about the lights.
Oh, yeah.
And the lights have seemed to have been better,
Yes.
but one of
Tammy, you cut out. Sorry. I'm not getting Justine and Tammy's audio.
Let me try.
There we
Can you
go.
hear
There we
me?
go. You're back.
The question is whether you will need additional lighting for pile driving or for other stages of the work.
No, that was temporary lighting. The temporary lighting has been removed. So there's
Thank
no
you.
plans at this time to install more lighting.
Thank you so much. Rick, thank you for a report that is in-depth and good. And we'll welcome you back in September.
Absolutely. Guys, have a good break, okay? I put my information. in the chat. So if you need to sign up, feel free to share that. And my number's on there as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me by phone as well. So.
Okay, we're looking in the chat to make sure it's there, and then if we can leave it to be posted. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we will repost that. Thank you so much, Red.
Thank you
Have a
guys.
good
Yeah.
night and have a good 2 months.
Yeah,
Take
you
care.
too, guys. Take care, everybody.
Justine, I don't know if anyone's talking, but I don't think the people online can hear you.
Can you check what?
Is anything unplugged over there?
These are working. I think you just need to get a
These are
little
working.
closer.
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you now. You just came back in. I heard you saying, can you check if anything's unplugged? That's the first thing I heard since Rick signed off.
Closer.
I'm not close to Justine.
I will yell.
All right, try again.
Okay, can you hear me now, guys? Yes, okay, Dan is shaking his
Yes,
head.
we
Thank
can.
you. So we're talking about the Northwest Battery Park City resiliency, and we're gonna have a discussion and possible resolution. We want to talk mostly about community engagement with the BPCA, Battery Park City Authority, and the community. And I'm gonna start off by asking Nick to put in the chat, even though you've said it before, whatever the link is where people can make comments. And you know, on your website, you already have the report of the flyby thing, and you've got information and some questions and answers listed on the BPCA website in relation to questions that were asked. Is that correct?
One thing, so I'm sorry. You want me to put on the chat the
Now I don't hear
virtual
you.
tool? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Can you
Hang
hear
on.
me now? Okay.
I'm sorry. Try it again, Nick.
Can you hear me? Testing? Dan can hear
Dan
me.
can, but I can't.
Dan can hear us, but we can't hear you, Nick.
Dan can hear me.
I'll just translate for everybody.
Oh, I can hear Dan. Can you hear Dan? You can't hear me.
Can you hear us?
I can hear.
Can you hear me? Now you can hear us. Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Did anybody hear me say what we're talking about right now?
Yes, I heard you.
You heard me. I know. I'm not gonna say it again.
This is why we like in-person meetings.
Yeah, there you go. So item 3 on the agenda, Northwest Battery Park City resiliency. Nick, do me a favor and put in the chat the link to where people can make comments on the record to the BPCA. And also put a link to the BPCA website just for kicks, because some people may not have it. I think we wanted to focus on communication and meetings to discuss feedback between the Battery Park City community and the Battery Park City Authority. There's been some concern about having more meetings before we reach the 60% threshold of, what is it, planning? Design, thank you. The 60% design, which I think is scheduled for sometime in the fall. We're gonna wanna have answers to our questions that have been put forth, whether it's on the chat or on your website or in committee. And I will note that the Battery Park City Authority has agreed to show up today to have this conversation. They're also agreeing to come to the Environmental Protection Committee to have a more in-depth conversation, I believe, next week. And that's a good thing. So for the people listening that have concerns about resiliency in North and West, these 2 meetings are important to be at. And I believe we have some information. I'd like to put it as part of the record, yeah? Put in, please pull it up. So the BPCNA, the Battery Park City Neighborhood Association, sent us a letter asking that we incorporate or at least raise these questions. So, we see them here. I'm not gonna read it, because people can read it. This will be part of our record for today, but, we want to have, number one, a real discussion in depth about the variance from a 15-foot vegetation-free zone. At the way it is written right now, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Vegetation Management Policy requires the removal of all vegetation except grass on the levee and within 15 feet of the levee toe or flood wall. And it's not just trees, it's all vegetation. We would like to know what kind of a variance that the Battery Park City Authority has asked for and what's appropriate. And where, yeah, exactly, and where, because there's certain places where it would maybe make sense to have it all flat and nothing, we don't know. We'd like to have that played out and spelled out to us with enough time that the Battery Park City Authority can adjust its request for a variance if it makes sense. Does that make any sense to you, Nick? Lost your picture. He's muted, but I think maybe he got, yeah, no, it's okay. I think he may have,
Justin, can you hear me again? Can you hear me yet?
it's okay if you're having bandwidth issues to stay off camera. We can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, hold on a second. I'm off camera. Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to send you, Justine. I'm sorry, I tried to add that. I was listening to what you said. I was also multitasking and trying to add the link to the chat, but the chat tells me it's been disabled. So I'm going to email it to you and Tammy so you can put it into the chat.
There.
Nick, just send it to the host. But whatever you're gonna send to the host, and the host can.
We'll share it.
We'll share it.
Okay.
It has to do what? Oh, Detta has a raised hand. Okay, Detta, maybe you want to be put into as a participant, first of all. Move her as a participant and then Detta. No?
It's fine for this, but normally we don't put public members from other committees.
Oh, I didn't realize.
As panelists.
Okay.
They normally stay. I'm fine if we put her over today, but the general
Rule is no.
rule is they're members of the regular public in other committees.
Interesting. Okay, I was not aware, but okay, thank you. But you're willing, and then Detta, unmute yourself.
It's the same thing. If you notice, when Marianne's at land use, she's in the issue.
Did not know that. Detta, can you hear?
I just thought I could help out when you're having tech issues, because all the time when Nick was talking, all of us remote users could hear him even when you couldn't hear him in the room. So just,
Oh, wow.
I just can let you know to help troubleshoot when there's tech issues.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Put your camera on, because if we can't hear you.
Oh, that's a smart idea.
Sorry, but there you go.
No, but that's
Thank
a
you,
smart idea. Like if I need to, if something's going on, I'll put it on, I'll wave or whatever. Okay. But I'll mute again so you guys can have your meeting.
Thank you so much, Detta. I appreciate it. So Nick, go ahead. If you have anything to say about the vegetation-free zone and the variance requests. If you do.
Can you still hear me?
So, Nick, I think we can go 1-1 on the letter that you received and we received from the BPCNA. However, there's also, there are several requests that were made prior to the June meeting, after the REACH meetings, and I sent you a follow-up on that. And they have 7 notes on their letters. Some of them cross over with requests that the community board has made before. And in terms of public engagement, the concerns that are, we have outstanding asks from September of 22 that haven't been addressed at any of the REACH meetings, and post-REACH meetings, which were done in February and March. We have questions that are still outstanding that have not been answered or were not answered in the June meeting. Now, we understand the time is precious. However, At the beginning and the end of the day, the timeline is set by the Battery Park City Authority. So we are asking, as we have before, for individual or bundled reach meetings where the questions that have been raised beyond the 3 reaches that have undefined engineering needs outstanding can be answered to the public. And having the engineers to explain if the requests have been made, which there have been, for different engineering solutions, for argument's sake, for a review for why you couldn't look at using River Terrace instead of bringing along the sidewalk line inside River Terrace, or putting it closer to the streetscape. You know, all the other questions that still remain outstanding. Part of public engagement, we're looking for additional meetings before you advance beyond 30. And I think what the community does not understand, based on how we went down with Wagner, Pier A, and the Battery, is how a space that is so much larger can have less engagement in a shorter period of time.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I can still hear you.
I hear you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you can still hear me. I was at the end of the question, Tammy. I want to make sure that I'm just typing while I hear you. I also put in the chat the 2 other things. Let me know if you get that. It was, I think it was me to all panelists. You should have that there.
Yes, we're placing it now to everything. Thank
Great.
you, Nick, for that.
Great. Yeah, so Tammy, I saw your note that came in. I think it was just a little bit ago when we were in here. So I have to go through this with kind of some more depth when I'm not in the meeting, but let me rephrase that. I will make sure that I get back with the team to confirm we have an understanding of any of the outstanding questions from the September 2022 meeting, which was in advance of the REACH specific meetings, and then any follow-ups from the REACH specific meetings that actually were born as a result of the feedback in September 2022 that we still owe you. To the extent that there are questions out there that haven't been answered, we certainly want to make sure we get those to you. There is a growing and regularly updated FAQ section on our site that has answers to questions. So happy certainly to discuss these things at the community board level, but we want to also make sure that it's in a place that everyone can access at any time in case they don't have the ability to tune into a community board meeting or one of our meetings, as it were. People have different things to do. We want to make sure that information is accessible to everyone. I would say that I don't think it's less feedback. I think we were very successful in getting a lot of folks to the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project, both resiliency specific workshops and the June 26th meeting. We had about 230 attendees participate in those meetings in June, both online and in person across 2 sessions. And we have an online tool that we were just discussing that is again open for folks to continue to provide feedback to and through what they saw at that meeting. So, and in terms of outreach for that meeting, I always think of what Jeff Galloway and I discussed, but we really went very heavy on kind of all sorts of advertising, digital, non-digital, hard copy, soft copy, etc., including physical postcards to every mailbox across 3 zip codes to make sure folks knew about that meeting. So I would push back on the fact that the outreach and the amount of meetings and the quality of those meetings is anything less than it's ever been. In fact, I think it's better. And we've gotten some comments from the public about how valuable those meetings, including some people on the community board.
Agreed, Nick, but the questions are still outstanding. It's a lot of information in a 2-hour period to go through all the reaches. There are questions that are unanswered.
Okay, and I said, any questions we haven't answered, I will go through this week, make sure that we have a full list, and we will get those answers added for you ASAP. We'll also, incidentally, as Justine had noted, be at the EPC committee meeting next Monday night for the quarterly update. And then also on reaches 1 and 5, we plan to be back to the community board in September. And the reason why it's 1 and 5 for the folks who are wondering, there's 7 reaches in the project overall. Reaches 1 and 5 were not quite at 30% during the June meetings. The other reaches were there. 1 and 5 still had some components that were outstanding that we are working on. So we want to be back to the community board as promised in September on each of those reaches to get the feedback as they've reached their 30% design mark. So we are committed to continuing to work with you every step of the way.
Nick, doesn't reach 2 also need to be changed because that's the one that goes into the Hudson River Park Trust and you don't have the engineering all the way the back of Stuyvesant, going all the way across of reach 2, still needs the engineering answers and the whether or not you can legally go into the water, DEC and all the rest of that.
Because those were questions raised by the Hudson River Park Trust.
Advisory
Council.
Yep.
And they were,
And the trust.
and they're not, I mean, at this point, they're not publicly answered. And it's,
So we would want to see an update for 1, 2, and 5 when you have answers on 2, because 2 is not engineered either. And that was said at the last meeting in June, is that work finalization of what is possible behind Stuyvesant and those buildings is dependent on the interactions of how the water works, correct?
Yeah, look, there's still obviously outstanding work to be done on all the reaches. We're just talking about the 30% milestone. So for reach 2, yes, to the extent that there's still development work to be done, that would be in the next phase. But as far as I have it, it's 1 and 5 that still have some outstanding components for the 30% design mark.
so Nick and Tammy, I have a proposal for you, or Boris. I think it might make sense for, the Environmental Protection Committee to go through and point out, in addition to whatever's listed on what the DPCNA gave us, outstanding questions and new questions, which I think would include what the Hudson River Park Advisory Committee / Trust has questioned about how building out into the, Hudson River, the effect of that, what's possible, what isn't. And then ask that you come with the engineers to the EPC committee next Monday, or at least in September. To
No,
discuss it.
before the 30%.
Well, yeah,
Nick, the concern that we have, Nick, is you're saying that any feedback received after July 31st
that's why.
will not be included potentially in the 60% design, correct?
Correct. Can you hear me? Can anyone still hear me?
I can't hear the community board though.
I can
Yeah, I
hear
can
you,
just-
but I
Yeah,
can't
hey,
hear the
guys.
community board.
We're like the virtual gang, the virtual prison gang.
Can you hear us now?
Yes,
Can you hear us now?
we
We can hear
can.
you now. Yeah, we lost you there for a second, Justine and Tammy.
So frustrating. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Nick, you stated that any feedback received beyond July 31st would not be included in the 60% design, correct?
We can't guarantee that it will be included in the 30% design.
60%.
I'm sorry, 60% design, yes.
And you're saying that, what about the alternative alignment questions that were raised? The variances for the vegetative zone questions that have been raised?
And then the design.
When will those questions be answered?
We have this, right? We can put you on.
So we have, we're gonna be to EPC next week. We had discussed it with some of the project folks here today. And I will push again on my end to get the outstanding questions answered in as timely fashion as I can. Certainly, I'd like to have them done in advance of the 31st. And hopefully before that, because we want to make sure that folks have a chance to understand some of the reasoning behind the design decisions that need to be made. So that is on us, and we will get you those answers.
Nick, we are requesting again that the deadline be pushed back and all the questions that have been raised since September that came out of the alignment meetings be answered with the engineers in a room before you proceed beyond 30%. Because what I do not want to hear when we're asking for alternative alignments is we will get back to you, and then when it comes at the 60% meeting to be told the ship has sailed.
Because we're pushing now, we're here now, it's here now.
Can you?
Yeah, I understand. I understand the request.
And I think part of it is, some of it, if the ship has already sailed, we should just be black and white about it with the engineering. So I think that it's okay to say a decision has been made about the following because of engineering or because of budgets or because of whatever it is. I think what is, the community wants to know what's firm and what is still outstanding. And I think that the answer is that there may be some things that come down to we have input about, and there's some things that we don't have input about. And I think that the hardest part about this is people sometimes hear what we want to hear. And I think it's better to be as clear as possible to say, you know, the alignment is this, or we still have some flexibility. So if it's okay to have a black and white answer and state the black and white answer, and it's okay to say, this is where we're still gray and we're still working through. Does that make sense?
It does. Wendy, that's Wendy, right? Wendy Chapman?
Wendy, yeah.
I know that voice anywhere. And the hat, I like it too. Yes, it makes
Say we've decided the following because of budget, engineering, regulatory issues, you know, EPA, whatever it is. And it's okay to say, this is something we're still working on, especially these variances. You explained again how you're, you know, we're doing some unprecedented things in a new way, you know, just this is I'm of the opinion that New York City needs resiliency. And this is very complicated and it's going to take many years, and you're first out of the box, and we're going to learn a lot of lessons and we're going to make some mistakes. And I think it's okay to be upfront about all of that. And, you know, I think we shouldn't apologize for doing an engineering marvel, which is what's going to happen. Not everyone's going to agree with this, and it's controversial. And I think we just need to own that it's controversial, and people will look at the same set of facts and come to different conclusions. But the community board's job is to be gathering everybody's a place for the public square to interact and for you to give feedback. So I hope that makes sense. It's our job to create that public square.
And part of what's so.
Go ahead, Justine. I'm sorry.
What I was just saying, part of what's so important is to have the interaction and have the, I know you're putting the answers in writing. It is helpful to have the answers being given as well in person in a discussion so people can ask questions. And then, as Wendy said, sometimes no is a sentence. But go ahead, please answer.
No, it makes sense. And Wendy and Justine, thank you for that. And yes, and it's our job to make sure that we are, you know, we are back to the community board at regular intervals and providing opportunities for feedback through a vast and varied kind of amount of sessions, which we are aiming to do and have done. So We owe you those answers, and I would say that, sure, to the extent that there are things that are unanswered, going back to Tammy's point, I want to make sure that they're answered. What I would ask the community board and what would be helpful to us, and perhaps kind of the collective we, is, and this kind of goes to what Wendy said, there are some times when the question has been asked and the question has been answered. It may not necessarily be an answer that everyone loves, but the answer is the answer. And then there are other things that we need to work on. I'm not saying that as a kind of a reason to say we're not going to answer your questions. We certainly want to and will. But once a question has been answered, folks may not like it, but that doesn't mean the question hasn't been answered. And I saw the letter that came in, Justine, that you went to. I saw that come in today as well. If it's helpful, what I'd like to do is kind of ferret out the questions of that are new, and add them to our growing list of FAQs on the site that we have. The questions that are kind of older questions, we'll recycle the answer we already have on the FAQs, like for instance, grant funding and things along those lines that have been asked and answered. But we'll put that again up and we refresh it. Every few months or so, we refresh our FAQs with new questions that have come in. And then to the extent that there are specific questions that grow out of a meeting, we want to make sure those are ferreted out as well and indicated clearly on the site.
That makes sense, but I will say to you, or just make a note of this, the fact that the people have asked the question again means they're not getting the answer. Or although it may also mean they don't like the answer, but.
I will say some of this has been answered publicly. That
Okay,
fair. I think that the request, when Dawson addressed the issue directly, people might not want to hear the answer about, she said, yes, they would participate with any sort of coalition and, a broader group, but the timing of it is probably not going to line up with the timing of the Battery Park City project is moving much faster than, the governor and everyone else hasn't appointed. So I heard an answer to that. I know that's not the answer that people even on our committee want to hear.
Hudson River Park Trust or
I think-
Hudson River Park
Exactly.
Advisory Council or
Exactly.
Independence Plaza or any of the other major
Exactly.
stakeholders in the zone.
Exactly, but they did answer the question.
Yeah.
So I just want to make that clear, that the question was pretty, it was answered by Gwen. I heard it. It may not be what a lot of people want to hear. So I think it's really good to put that on your website and to address it again and to realize that, that doesn't mean that the community is not going to keep pushing as we all know.
Well, I think sort of following up on Wendy's point, it's unclear to me what questions are in fact outstanding. And I think
That's what I was trying to get to.
and so maybe it behooves us, and perhaps we can do it by the time of next week's committee meeting, is actually have a definitive list, because there is a difference between questions that have been answered that we don't like the answers to, as opposed to questions that have been asked where we don't have an answer. And I think it's good for us to know which is which, and if we expect an answer out of the authority, we need to make sure that they understand what questions we're talking about. I mean, for example, this alignment issue is news to me. I haven't heard, I'm not sure which alignment we're talking about.
It was raised, there were alignment questions raised about reach 1 and 2, which we don't have engineering done for yet. We still don't have responses. And then there were alignment questions raised in the reach meetings at the September public hearing on the environmental
So we should
impact.
put them in one place so that, because it sounds like
They have them, the alternative alignment, they have it.
it's an official community board
It was-
request, or is it
it
just
was
some
in-
random person standing up and asking a question? Because that makes a difference.
It was
because
part of the official comment. It was part of the official community board comment. It is part of their official comments on there that has yet to be addressed.
Okay.
And that's, that and, cost estimates. Where are we with cost estimates for the reaches? How does that go back to what was originally told to the community?
I don't mean to argue specific points. I just want to define what they are so that we can get the answers
Yeah.
to them, because they seem to be scattered in a bunch of different places. And if we want to advocate for an answer,
I think it's very
I think it's
nice.
better than to just,
Yeah.
it's not wise to rely on some random question that was asked at some meeting that all of us didn't attend, but to put them in one place including maybe that random question that may be a very important one, but.
Which is why we were asking for another engagement before they shut the 30% down.
Well, but I think that's the
Right
question.
to that. Yeah, I think that was where I was going, was to say, can we get something together to give them before next Monday's meeting? Because I don't know what's not answered.
I think I'm in your camp too, Justine, because I mean, for example, the variance issue with plants other than grass, that is a question I'm like, I don't know the answer to
Yeah.
that. And if I don't know the answer to that, then probably a lot of other people don't know the answer to that, since, but there may be other things in there that, we don't know. So I don't think it's anything, but in terms of like the alignment, one of the things that happened, that my understanding is that the pushback for the Wagner build, that they quickly aligned themselves along the street, which is what the public was asking for. But that again is, do we need to ask that again? Because we did see one of the alignments go through the middle of Rockefeller Park.
When you say Wagner, you don't mean Wagner, you mean?
Well, no, the Wagner, we all know, we had gone to many, many meetings over many, many years.
Yes.
And then
all of a
a
sudden,
new group, things came up after a lot of things have already been decided. And so, the answer was get engaged for the west and north. So that's what's happening right now. And then we did see an alignment through, one on the edge, which they did say at the very beginning, that's the least likely because you have to build the wall really high if it's right on the water. But there's one that went through the middle of Rockefeller Park. And then the alignment, which is what they've concluded, more along the road, give or take. And given the feedback that they got about raising Wagner 8 to 10 feet, when you push it back towards the road, you don't have to go as high. And it, I think it's a little cheaper, although that's questionable too, I guess. But the alignment through the middle of Wagner, Rockefeller kind of went away.
Yeah.
But to me, that was a logical thing based on the huge response from the public that came out. And I felt like
Rockefeller alone.
And to leave Rockefeller alone. So if that's the question about the alignment.
No, the question was moving the alignment further into, the questions were raised with, and I know because I was one of them who asked as well. They asked, I asked, it was asked at every meeting that I was at.
So
that's it.
Talking about? I'm
Move
sorry.
the alignment along Rockefeller to be moved into River Terrace. Because at one point, the Department of Transportation looked at narrowing River Terrace anyway to get rid of the placards.
Right.
And doing sidewalk extensions as a different way. And that's, VPCNA reiterated that request, I believe, but it was also raised many times about coming off into River Terrace and not having to lose the tree canopy.
Right, so that's
an outstanding question.
That's an outstanding question.
That makes sense to me. That's fine. And that's what Jeff is saying.
That
And
was not a question asked at the meeting that I attended, because I was at the second meeting.
Yeah,
That's my
exactly.
point. It would be nice to have a list of these
Well, the
questions,
yeah.
because that's the first time I've heard that was an issue.
Okay, Mary
Justine,
Ann.
and I'm sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off. Just if it's helpful to you all, because I want to make sure that I'm capturing all this and I'm typing furiously, but we have the list of questions for sure. We have all the questions, but what we're working on now is we have the list of questions we got on June 26th, because as Jeff had noted, there were multiple sessions and all the questions came in. And we want to get those answered ASAP. If it's helpful to all, it's Monday night. I'd like to be back in touch with the board this week, at least with kind of the list of those questions. Even as we're working through the answers, if it's helpful to you, so then you can marry that up with anything that may also be outstanding. Because as Jeff makes a good point about, it's helpful to be working from the same kind of universe of questions that we can work down and either use what's already been answered if it has been answered, or provide those answers if they haven't been. If that's helpful to you, I can work on that this week.
And if the breach meetings were filmed, at the end for the individual table presentations. Those filmed portions are not on the website. Can they be put up?
So we didn't film the REACH specific meetings because the format of the meeting didn't lend itself to doing like 8-hour videos of each video table. However, I will see what was recorded in terms of notes. I know we have some summary notes up there. I will see if there's any additional materials we have.
Nick, if you remember, there was an ending session where each table, somebody stood up and gave a
Summary.
summary.
Yep. Jeff, I think I lost the audio for the committee again, but I am tracking that and I will see. Oh, there you go. There you go. Sorry, we lost you there for a second.
Now we're back because I see my light, I'm lit up again. What Jeff was asking and Tammy was asking was pointing out at the end. There was a like 2-minute presentation from each table that we were under the impression, or we assumed was actually taped versus just being broadcast like this is being broadcast.
Yep, I saw that request. I'm checking on it with the project team and
Thank you. That would be helpful to get put up on your website. Mary Ann.
If I could just say, maybe the crux of the problem is who is responsible for getting back with answers related to the REACH meetings. So Nick, as an example, I know that you're the liaison with Asphalt Green as related to senior fitness. So I know that when I have issues, I email it to you and to the David Wallace, David Ludwig. And I know who's supposed to give me answers. That's clear among us. But here, these REACH things are run. There's so many people in charge, so many different people with different perspectives. And maybe nobody has sat down afterwards to really put together, now that we had the meeting, here's our to-do list. And it's part of the to-do list is what do we need to get back to the community about? Because it is extremely frustrating to know that a question was asked, 9 months ago, 6 months ago, and to still not have an answer.
Well, I think that one of the benefits that I say that I've said many times is that we are one of the first projects and things are happening all over the world. And if we're thinking about this as we are dealing with something that the rest of the world is dealing with, and of course we have engineers from all over the world working on this project, and that's something to be really, I think, some of the best minds are trying to figure this out with the community in a very tight, complicated area that we all really are attached to and care a lot about. And as I've said many, many times, this is not just an engineering problem, it's also an emotional change, a big emotional change for all of us. And I think there's an education component. It's a little bit of a time capsule of sorts that if we record this and we kind of overkill the questions and answers and analyzing this, this will be a roadmap for the rest of the world to say, oh, what problems were the public really fighting through and working through? And, whether it's our city or another city or another neighborhood in our city, there are things that lessons learned that we're going to not understand right now, that, we're right in the thick of it. And so I would caution us to, as I said, I think this is something that people are going to write articles about, and historians are going to research, and I think we should be making videos to educate people in our city about what's happening. I mean, I've had this big picture thought on this whole project that I think we should be talking a lot more about it. And this is really the public square, and this is really history. And so if it's okay to be a little overkill, I would ask the people that are working on these things to say, no, you're like the newspaper writing the first broad strokes of history, and then historians are going to look back on it, and environmental historians are going to say, what did we learn? Or what kept coming up or this type of thing. So I know it's a lot of work, but I think that, at least for me, it's also to say, we took it seriously and you have taken it so seriously. And other cities are not going to have the budget and the manpower and the PR people and all of this stuff. So we have the ability to teach and share. So I kind of look at it from a different perspective, if that makes sense.
And I look at it and say that this is our opportunity to ensure that public engagement
Is, yeah.
and the public town square has been met with the most amount of clarity and transparency, because we're not going to get another bite at this apple. There is 1, 2, 3 more meetings in a course of 1, 2, 3 more months. It's not going to be the death knell of the project. And making sure that we've actually looked at all and every option and really done some, this redesigned. Half of community board one's, or a third of community board one's territory along the water side. We need to make sure that we've done this and coordinated and done the best that we can to support it. And I don't think that.
And neither one, they're not mutually exclusive and they're not against each other. All right, we've got people in the attendee section I'd like to call on, please.
Please do.
I'm gonna call on Michelle. I can't see who lives with Michelle, but Michelle, unmute yourself, please. But Michelle Ashton, I thought. You just have to unmute yourself. You've been invited to unmute. And then Brittany's next.
It looks like they're still locked. As in they can't unmute themselves. Just trying to be helpful there.
Dan, we send a request, they have to unmute
There it is.
themselves.
Yeah, she's unmuted. Perfect. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, can you hear me?
You can.
Oh, hi there. So thank you for this interesting meeting. You know, during the course of the meeting, my my blood pressure's gone up and then it's gone down many times. So there's a lot that I want to say. I'm just gonna, but I'm not, because I feel like there's just so much that I'd like to add here. But what I am going to say is this: I'm concerned and disturbed, I would say, by this timeline, because I understand that there's a timeline, but like all timelines, they're arbitrary. And if our answers aren't satisfactorily met, and if the options to look at different designs aren't completely explored, and if we end up doing something that we realize in hindsight could have or should have done better if we had given it another 4 months to really look at this, then I think that would be a big mistake. One of the things that I'm greatly concerned about is the fact that when we were at that June 26th meeting and it was asked if we could have site visits, because it's very hard to do ground truthing, by looking at pictures, 2-dimensional pictures. And the response was, well, we probably don't have enough time to do that. And that's a very unsatisfactory response. The community needs to see. We need to see what is going to happen to the place where we have invested 25 years of our lives. And we need to understand the impact. We need to understand the impact aesthetically, environmentally, ecologically. We need to understand the heat island effect. We need to understand what that city is doing to avoid a heat island effect. We need to understand if you're using any particular substrates that are going to, any permeable substrates, all kinds of stuff. There are lots of scientific questions that have not been addressed, and there are a lot of concerns, and I will speak for many people when I say that the complete destruction, I would even say annihilation, of our urban forests is unconscionable. We have 40-year-old trees here. They cannot be replicated by the amount of heat that is going to be created here, the increased use of energy by people who normally would have the shade of trees. Now they're going to have to run their air conditioners. There's just so much here that doesn't make ecological sense. And by the way, I just read yesterday. I'm getting an echo here. I'm sorry. It's very distracting. I just read an article from the World Economic Forum specifically relating to what what's happening in the world, particularly in Singapore and other places. Let me just pull it up for a second. It is entitled Discovering How Sweltering Urban Heat Islands Are Being Cooled Down. It's an incredibly interesting article. It's based on the best science. It's based on pilot projects that are now being done. And I feel like a lot of this work has been successful and is being tried, and we're not addressing the nature-based ways in which these great minds elsewhere in the world are solving these problems. So I feel like we need to allow us to take a look at the site. We need to see what's happening. We really need to reconsider whether we're going to destroy our linear urban forests here. We need to understand the ecological impacts and the environmental impacts and the impacts to the community. And none of these things have been addressed adequately, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Michelle. I appreciate it. And that's a lot of fodder for thought. And so next, Whitney.
From the economic.
You can unmute yourself, Whitney.
Yeah, sending a link.
Go ahead.
I think she's sending.
World Economic Forum.
Now we can, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks for hosting this, Justine, and Tammy. Really appreciate it. I would like to echo a lot of things that Michelle just said, and address some of the other comments made earlier. Number one, I want to echo what Tammy said of unanswered questions. The alternate alignment, for instance, is one I personally submitted. I spoke about it at the workshop. I submitted it a very detailed PowerPoint outlining it, followed up with 3 different emails, asked a question about it in the last workshop, and I still haven't seen any analysis on it. So that's just one of many examples. You know, I think that sometimes questions are answered, and it's not whether you like the answer or not, but it's also whether that the answer is followed up with some data rationale behind it. You can answer a question and say, no, we're not going with that. Or you can answer a question with, no, we can't do it for X, Y, and Z reason, but we can do A, B, C. And just using Wagner as an example, you know, there was an alternate alignment proposed, and just, you know, addressing Wendy's comment. If you go back to the notes and recording of March 2019, Tammy asked the question of the alternate alignment very clearly at the end of that meeting. And it was stated that there would be time and that they would go back and answer it. And then by the time you got to the April meeting, they said it's too late. It's done and dusted. And, you know, an example, you know, the reason why I bring this up is because there was an answer given, no, we can't do that alternate alignment. But when we had other experts look at it, they said, yeah, maybe not that way, but there's 5 other ways that you could do this alternate alignment. And why don't you try these other little modifications and it would work? So I think that it also needs to be thoughtful answer. It can't just be in writing. I would agree with, I think it was Tammy and Justine saying, bring your experts to the meetings. They should be at these community board meetings on a regular basis to answer the public's comments. It might seem overboard, but I think that we all have a shared goal that we really want the best project. We want a project this time that is studied for all the positive reasons and that the community loves and embraces and can get behind. So we all want the same thing. It's just how do we get there? And I think, you know, having as much community engagement posted in advance, doing it together, bringing the experts to answer the questions, whether you think that they've been answered before or not, will get us there. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Brittany, for sharing this. And I want to thank the BPCNA for putting together this presentation and this letter, because it does summarize at least the questions that, their questions, yeah. It summarizes their questions and it's in one place. And I think that that's helpful. And so Nick, it would be great if you think something's been answered, that's fine, say so. If you think it hasn't been, and do keep in mind that saying why, you know, no is a sentence, yes, but sometimes it's nicer and helpful to hear why it's no, when it's appropriate. And Everybody's gonna have a different opinion on different things. And it's so funny, Brittany, you say that we're gonna get behind it. Yes, love it. Yay. But it's okay. It's necessary. Because anything is necessary. Like, whether you like it or not, it's necessary. But anyway, no, I appreciate that. I'm sorry? No more speakers that I see. Do you have something to say, Tammy? Anybody in the room have something to add? Next item, that's what I'm thinking, because
Ask Nick when he can get us the links to the,
I think you did already. Right, you shared them?
the links to the audio for the summaries and the
Oh,
pitches.
and Nick, yeah, when do you think you'll get us back the information about summaries? If in fact, if they don't have the audio and the video and a visual of it, maybe you just have the summaries, if you could put them up. What we were asking
You're
for,
talking about the reach
to
specific.
reach specific meetings, yeah. You're mute, Nick.
I'm sorry. Yes, let me
Now
just
you-
run down my list here so I have it. So follow-up questions, follow-up answers to questions from September 2022, to the extent that they're new, I'll go back and do a scrub. Follow-up answers to questions from the REACH-specific meetings in February and March, to the extent that they're not already covered in the above, which was September. HRPK Advisory Council questions, which may or may not be separate or related to the first two items I said. And REACH 2 for encroachment into and the alignment questions, which again may or may not be related to what I said, 3 items above. And recordings or summaries of the readouts that were done by each of the tables at the REACH specific meetings. Okay. Got it. And then we'll
Great,
again
thank you.
back to we'll be at EPC
Monday.
we'll be at EPC next Monday night. Just again to set expectations, because I don't want to say it here and then have people think it's a different thing. What we had emailed over the weekend on Justine and Tammy and Wendy, I think everyone was on the group, is that we said we'd be back in September on 1 and 5, since they had some components of the 30% design that hadn't been reached. But if there was an additional reach you wanted to do, kind of a deeper dive on during EPC, we can line a project, in addition to Gwen and myself and Claudia, who are always there. We can line one of the designers up to be there as well. But it would be helpful to know if there's a specific design, a specific route you want to go into, that would allow us some time to do that, to have that conversation.
And that makes sense. I think, as Tammy just is saying, I think you might want to do 1 and 2 as well as 5. Just as, and look into it and see, because of going out into the water, because of HRPT Advisory Council information. Go back to them, look at it and see, because I think that based on that, you can't be at 30% because you've got too many questions.
Okay,
think-
I'll add reach 2 to that as well, 1, 5, and 2.
Well,
That doesn't mean you can't do 30%.
percent, that's fair. Okay, so I think we're done with this topic, and I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Nick, I'm gonna assume you're gonna wanna have your folks like Dan, and we're gonna jump to having them, Dan Dixon present about the, unless I could kick it to you and let you be in charge, but I'm sure Dan is sick of looking into it.
Yeah, I'll just give a very quick intro and then hand it over to Dan. And Dan, thank you for being so patient. Welcome to
Yes.
Community Board 1. It's
Of course.
So as many of you know, some of you may not, who are joining us maybe for the first time or for the first time in a while, we had a number of good conversations with CB1 about the area that is colloquially known as the Pataki Pathway, Pataki Walkway, but it's the stretch of the Hudson River Greenway that extends from the top of Battery Place up to 3rd Place. Or 1st Place, I should say. My mistake, I'm sorry. Battery Place to 3rd Place. And we came to the community last fall, to talk about the idea of perhaps activating that space in a different or new way. And then we came back to you, I think again in April, with a proposal for what we had developed based on the feedback that we had heard. So what we were able to do, I guess it was the week before last, is get that temporary play surface installed. Dan will go through a quick presentation for you. Hope you like what you see, but I think the main point as we kind of frame it here is What we heard a lot of things. People, some ideas, some liked the idea, some didn't like it at all. Some had kind of mixed reviews. But certainly one of the prevailing and pervasive themes was keep it light. So as it is right now, it is a kind of a light installation. It's there and exists. It's being used, and people seem to be enjoying it. We have a survey that's up as well that people can continue to tell us what they think about the space, what they don't like, if they'd like to see more, if they'd like to see less. And we have the ability, certainly, as we progress, to scale up or scale down. But what I want to be able to say is, as we always do, whether it be resiliency or this project or any of the others, to the extent that there's going to be something new or different done there after tonight, we'll be back to you all to discuss that before we do it, in keeping with what we've done so far on this project and others. So with that, Dan, I'll hand it over to you, and I hope I didn't steal too much of your thunder.
No, that's fine. I have very little thunder to start with. So thank you all very much for having me. My name is Dan Dixon. I'm a fellow to Battery Park City. I'm the Director of Planning and Design. And thank you very much for having me. It's not every community board that has this much enthusiasm and attention to detail. I served on Community Board 3 for a number of years, and so I appreciate the vigor with which everyone shares their opinions. I like it. I'll share my screen.
Yeah, that's best. If you can do that, that would be great, because we're having technical difficulties with your email.
No problem at all.
Sent in.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So as Nick mentioned, I just want to give you a little update on this Greenway Play space. As you all know, I think the genesis of this project came out of our beloved Wagner Park being under construction, and so the desire to activate a little bit more urban space and provide a little bit more open space, especially for kids who used Wagner Park. So one item that I'll request is for, you know, once school opens up in the fall, we're really looking forward to getting some feedback from the school children and the teachers that use this, that use Wagner Park quite frequently, and hopefully we'll use this space as well. So for those unfamiliar with the area that we're talking about, as Nick mentioned, this is the stretch just east of Little West Street, between Little West Street and West Street, between First Place and Second Place is the first phase, just along the west side of that pedestrian walkway. And, you know, based on feedback, potentially there would be a more robust portion of phase one, in addition to perhaps other phases if it was received very warmly. So I was not here for this. I'm getting a little bit of feedback, by the way, if you could just mute their mics. The feedback that we received previously was that this could be used as a flexible passive space for adults and kids, support for kids, especially after school programs, potentially pop-up games like chess or hockey, etc. Loose furniture like picnic tables and chairs, and like Nick said, keep it a light touch, not to don't install too much all at once. Potentially also it could be an active play area for older kids, potentially ball playing activities or pop-up table tennis tables, as well as younger kids. So play area or extension space for neighboring schools, such as PS 276, as well as potentially pop-up play equipment for younger kids. But in the same breath, we want there to be a clear separation for safety between these active and passive spaces, perhaps an older kids zone and older kids zone, and a play area and pedestrian circulation would be at a premium as well. And obviously separation from streets for safety would be important as well. So we've rolled out kind of this proto phase one portion, which consists of two different graphic vinyl sections with kind of a artificial turf in the middle. And it was just installed a week before last. So as you can see, these are some pictures of the site currently. People are beginning to use it. We haven't yet rolled out any furniture or started thinking about the potential uses. The idea for this first proto phase one is to get some feedback and figure out if this is actually a desired amenity for the neighborhood and how it could be changed if people wanted to. We hope that it's received well. We've tried to accommodate both pedestrians as well as a significant space on the west side for activities or lounging or leisure activities as well. And these are just some graphics of literally what's been put out there as the vinyl prints. So this is kind of just a symbol of how the shoreline has evolved over time, kind of an interesting graphic for people to read, as well as a little blurb describing that, and a QR code leading to Battery Park City, Battery Park City's website, where you can learn more about the resiliency work, and it'll lead you elsewhere if you want to learn other things. And this is on the north side. This is a little bit shorter stretch. So potentially this could be for younger kids, and the larger stretch could be for older kids. These types of questions we're still kind of parsing out. But as Nick mentioned, there's a survey up currently, so we're interested in learning more, especially from those portions of the community that would use it most often. So kids, people who are frequently walking along this stretch, etc. And a couple other links are in this presentation as well, where people can learn more about it. And I'd like to open it up to questions if there are any.
Tammy, the big hand. Oh, we'll do it. How about we get to Betty first? Betty first.
Yeah, well, thanks. I am very upset about the grass. As somebody who's a mobility scooter user, you don't put wheel devices, whether it's a wheelchair, mobility scooter, or a stroller, on grass. But it take up so much the walkway. You can see why I avoid this space, and that's not fair either. As head of the transportation committee, I brought this up multiple times. This is the one option for walking space. And we also spoke in the past about no balls. If there's any activity with balls, they're completely fenced in, because we don't want stray balls or hockeys or any pucks or anything else going to where the pedestrians are. They're already being compromised tremendously for the play of others. The children, especially older children, they can go to Rocket, they can go to the ball field, they can go play somewhere else. They do not need to be in this space at the cost to the pedestrians. I'm very disappointed in this.
Eric, I know you have an opinion.
I have not liked this since the beginning. I walked by it and it took 15 seconds before a dog peed on the grass area. And not even that, the dog owner didn't even try to stop the dog from peeing. I don't think anyone knows what it is, but what it is taking up again very valuable walking space, walking area. I've talked to the principal at TLE, which is where my child goes, and now that if we're talking about closing West Thames, this isn't a very viable issue, because to the right is a highway, and the kids don't know, hey, don't run. They know how to run, and this poses a very big safety issue. If you're having balls, kids don't know how to stop. They just want to chase the ball. They're going to be running through biking lanes. They're going to be running through the bike path. They're going to be running through a street that goes the other way. If safety is the main issue here, this has completely failed. This doesn't provide us with anything. Your own pictures show people walking on the grass. They can walk anywhere on the grass. So that's my 2 cents.
And my only thing I'm gonna say about the dog's peeing, it's not even grass, it's astroturf. And I think that's so gross, because it's got no place to go. Doesn't even biodegrade, but that's the dog owner. Now, I'm not asking you to put grass there. Anybody else? Tammy?
Hey, Dan, thanks.
Dan.
So with the problems that we're having with Rector, right now, it makes me very concerned what happens for local law 11 for the buildings that are opposite to this. So for local law 11 for the Millennium and for the Ritz-Carlton residences, will this area have to be scaffolded over and closed?
Well, they can cross the street, right?
Yeah, they can't cross the street, so.
Across the street. They have cars drive underneath there?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the question.
Yeah.
So they're definitely can't cross the street.
That's what the law says. I mean,
The law
the
says
way
you
it's
can't go
written,
onto the
you
street.
can't cross the street. You don't have to cross, meaning the scaffolding, the shedding doesn't have to go across the street, right?
I hear what everyone says. I put my note in.
Yeah.
In
It's a
the,
good question.
I put my note online as a former PTA president of PS 276 and an SLT chair. I will tell you that it is not safe for the children in terms of organized structure from the school to use that space. In order for the kids use West Thames, and the teachers can take the groups of kids there, because there's obviously, as you can imagine, percentages for chaperones that are required, but West Thames is a fenced-in location, so it is a very safe playground for the kids to go to. This has none of the safety factor that would allow the younger kids in a K-8 school to be able to utilize it due to the chaperone requirements and safety. So I could see it being a place that maybe the middle schoolers would sit if they had lunch, but if the dogs are peeing on it and there's no drainage, and it's just, it's not an optimal positioning for, or substitution for organized kids. It's also too small for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me,
If you can find ways.
Just to be clear,
And
if I could just answer that one point, the slide where I talked about what we heard, this is not what we're necessarily proposing. It's just what we've heard from the community.
Yeah, I definitely, once you get it there, the concern, if that's a rendering, correct?
No, this is an actual photo.
So how is the AstroTurf cleaned every day?
So it's not
Exactly.
today, but I also wanted to speak to that. There is a drainage mat underneath this turf. So, it's not perfect, but dog pee, as it were, would get drained and flushed with any rain.
Yeah.
Can you let Nick back in, by the way?
Oh, yeah, is he now?
I have not seen it. I'm gonna make a point of going there the next time I walk my dog, but I'll make sure my dog.
Yeah.
AstroTurf.
I mean, it's not perfect. Dogs pee in parks as well, right? So it's tough to avoid that sometimes.
West Thames,
Right,
mostly.
But, I mean, I think certainly this was, what I'm hearing on the committee, it sounds like this was a nice try, but doesn't work. But I'm curious to hear what you have a survey outstanding. I'm curious to hear what others are thinking of it. Because I could go either way. I mean, I understand the comments that Eric and Betty are making. And I kind of liked it as it was, even though I hated it when it was built. It kind of grew on me over time. But I'm interested, I think I would definitely be interested in what the survey results are showing, what others are, the general public is thinking about it.
Yeah, as are we. Yeah, my understanding is that this came out of a public outcry for more activated public space. So, it's an experiment, and it might be met with poor reactions or positive reactions. I'm interested to see what the survey says as well.
Are you able to tell how many people take that survey? If it's 10 people, then it's 90%. If it's 100 people, then
Yeah, I assume there will be a count. Typically there are with surveys, but I'm not sure.
Well, one of the surveys would have to be random in a large percent of the population. But two, like I said, coming out of transportation, that survey is terrible. It does not approach the whole activity of using it as a walking space.
Yeah.
It only approaches it as, how do you want to play in this space? So it makes the assumption you want to play. It's not a good survey for the use of the space. But I'm also appalled at the percent of the space that's being used or activated for play, because that was never discussed with the board. It would be more than 50% is outrageous.
I thought we could.
Yeah, I completely sympathize with the mobility concerns. I understand that it probably would be very difficult to navigate the turf, especially with any kind of scooter or wheelchair. My understanding is that the initial designs tried to keep that 12 feet on the eastern edge, which is the same width as it is currently north. So not to take any space that there wasn't already clear along the entire stretch, for what that's worth.
Yeah, but that stretch that's north is where the walkway kind of splits, and there is a separate walkway
On either side of the park.
on either side of Rector Park. So it's a little deceiving in terms of the throughput of pedestrians there.
That's a good point.
Right, that's a good point. The dog park is,
Dan, what's the useful life of the AstroTurf that's there for that section? With no routine maintenance other than rain or snow, would it be picked up at the end of the winter, or would it be left for the winter?
The idea is to keep this installed until Wagner Park would open back up. Frankly, I'm not familiar with how long this type of installation would last. The installer has said that it would last at least 2 years.
at least 2 years.
Yeah.
If, I guess this is a question for you and a question for Nick. If the community outcry after one season is, we'd like to get rid of this, what's the bandwidth on that and what's the cost?
Nick, I don't know if you want to mention that, speak to that, but I think that if it was unpopular with the community, we would take it away. It's put out there as a community amenity, and if it's not being enjoyed, then I think we would get rid of it.
Yep, that's.
I think some of it.
That's correct. I can't talk to cost. I'm sorry. I think that might be more Dan, but yes, it's said from the beginning. We want people to like it. If you don't like it, then we will no longer do it. We wanted to kind of kick the tires and see what people liked, and if you don't like it, we don't have to have it.
And we've been cognizant of cost this entire time. You know, this is a relatively low cost proto phase one, as it were, because we weren't sure if it would be received well. So we're rolling it out. We're seeing if it's going to be popular. If it is popular, then we have some more funds that we can dedicate to it. If not, then we're going to save money. So
there you go. First of all, I appreciate you guys coming in, and I think maybe we want to check in again in September just to get a feedback, see what the survey did, and keep that survey running. For my own comments, yeah, the AstroTurf grass doesn't float my boat, but I do like tables. I think it's a nice thing, and I think that when you had said that the high school students in different places, and even middle school students, it's a place for them to come eat, and they're big enough, I put my airports on, to get there by themselves and be a little bit more responsible. So that's something that's nice, and you don't need to have 500 tables, but I like what you see. I know we have Detta in our, who's a public member I want to call on, and then also Brittany in the attendee section. What are the first? Okay, I will come to that. I'm going to go to Detta and Brittany. Go ahead, Detta.
Oh, hey, sorry, my lighting is not good. Anyway, this is a section of the Greenway where there's a walkway and there's a bikeway. So there's not supposed to be intermingling. The bikes are supposed to be on the bikeway and walkers and joggers on the walkway. There's always a certain portion of joggers that choose to use the bikeway. But I will say that whenever there's a walkway that's insufficient for some reason, or narrow or crowded, you know, that number of joggers choosing to use the bikeway grows. So then you have some conflict there. So that's all I'm saying. I mean, a nice, robust, wide walkway is a good thing in that it helps, you know, it helps make it desirable for the joggers and the walkers.
I appreciate that.
And even
I think you might be referring to this stretch, which is the Hudson River Greenway. We're talking about this pedestrian way. So I think that dual dual pathway that you referred to is this portion to the east. And this was just pedestrian. No bikes use this stretch.
Yes,
No, I
but
think
I'm saying when there's not enough of an area for pedestrians, some of those joggers choose to use the bikeway.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, when,
Point
you
noted.
know, there's certain areas along the greenway where it's supposed to be separate, but whenever there's not really a good area for the pedestrians and the joggers, they choose to use the bikeway.
Okay, point taken.
Yeah. Thanks.
Brittany, you're on yourself.
Hey, thanks. Can you hear me, Justine? Perfect. We'll keep this quick. I think that the reason why this came about, just by way of background, though, someone, should feel free to correct me if I'm mistaken, is that the draft environmental impact statement for Wagner saw that there was a lot of adverse impacts by reduced green space. And so this was offered to be able to get the environmental impact statement for the Wagner project approved by offering an alternative to providing some green space during construction. So that's, I think, where the impetus of the idea came from, rather than necessarily being asked for by the community. Hopefully that's helpful.
I don't know.
I think I lost audio from the community.
Yeah,
voice.
I can't hear the room either.
I lost them too. I'll text, let me text some of the folks there.
It's the Wi-Fi. It's the Wi-Fi, and we're probably being recorded this evening.
I think you're back.
Kenny?
We're back. Spoke too soon.
They were back for an instant.
Yeah, we almost had him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How about now? How about now? Okay, I'm gonna
Yep.
tune in. I think that, and maybe I misspoke what I said earlier. I believe the Beverly Park City Authority decided to try to activate the space because Wagner Park was lost to us for 2 years. But I don't think it was in response to any Ponzi study or environmental impact study. I think it's just something they thought might be a nice thing to do, which is why they could scale it back or not. But Nick, please clarify.
Yeah, I want to confirm, but that's my understanding as well. We know how important open space is in Battery Park City. And to the extent that there was an ability to kind of activate some space that was used, but maybe not used in some of the ways that people were using spaces in Wagner, we wanted to do that. I don't believe it was, I don't believe the EAS was contingent upon it. I can confirm.
Thank you. Betty, you have your hand up, please, go ahead. Thank
No, I just want to get back to, I'm still not hearing anybody talking about really measuring use and like and dislike. Because how do you measure people who avoid a space because it's just so unpleasant? I mean, it's easy to say someone's playing, they must like it. What about the people who avoid it? And as agreement of what Dennis said, there are times when I use the bikeway, which I know they hate me doing, because the walkway is just too congested.
Yes.
And I can't make my way through, so everybody migrates over to the bikeway. So that's what you're doing with some of these play spaces, unless you really monitor what the maximal use of that space is.
So I'm gonna follow up on what Betty said, Nick, and ask if you can do a pedestrian count to see what kind of an active use. I'm especially curious to know, starting almost immediately, obviously now, but also through when you start tearing up more of the sidewalk surrounding the battery and how that impacts this space.
So I was gonna take the first, well, let me just volunteer something and then Dan, I'll kick it over to you if that's all right. So Betty, thank you for that. I had my notes as I was typing up my list of follow-ups from this meeting. If there are different questions that you would like to see asked from a transportation committee perspective on the survey we have, we can just add them to the survey and push that out as the survey that we're pushing out for this. Because we do want to make sure we're capturing folks who, like you said, may be avoiding the space altogether. It does us no good not to get feedback from, like an vast and varied audience of people who might otherwise use the space for different reasons. So if there are different questions you'd like to see from, again, like I said, a transportation committee perspective, let me know. We can update the survey. In terms of pedestrian counts, I believe that's probably included in the South project, but Dan, in terms of pedestrian counts for the space, I don't know. You might have a better answer there.
To my knowledge, we did not do pedestrian counts before this project was rolled out, so no, I have no information there.
In terms of a baseline, okay.
Yeah.
The picture I'm looking at now, sorry, that had benches on the trees. Are they gone? Is there some removed because of this new surface?
We're losing 2/3 of the words you're saying.
Were the benches put down?
No, the benches
No,
were
sorry.
removed.
Say it louder, Marianne. You said.
There were benches along the left side of that photograph we're looking at. Are they gone? I don't see them there now.
They're still there. They're the block up, one block up.
Okay, so this was an area that didn't have benches.
Correct.
Did anyone think about these things that you put on the ground besides the AstroTurf? Did anybody think about putting down like a place area like hopscotch or any of those things that kids draw and, you know, because that might actually invite kids to come and use it.
Who's gonna rip out the chalk?
Sorry?
Who's gonna rip out the chalk?
No, you don't need chalk. It could have been printed the way they printed
Oh, okay.
information about resiliency. Exactly. Then you just need a rock or whatever you know, Skelly is, I don't know if anybody even plays that, but that's more of a circle or square.
But that's an interesting concept, but that also would block the walkway in the new.
Well, yeah, then, I mean, it would be a play space, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which again defeats the purpose of people being able to transverse the
Walking,
the
yeah.
grand flaws of that.
Yes, so yeah, no, I think I'd almost rather have this than that, because that's gonna involve some sort of a ball, it's gonna involve something, I mean, the hopscotch, no. but-
These are little things, yeah. The breast, the Astro involve a ball, playing catch or if it catches on.
Hey, thank you, Marianne. Dan, if you can go back to the slide that you just had on before this one, just to answer Marianne's question for the benefit of the group. Thank you. So if you look at that picture, you may have to squint your eyes a bit, or Dan, perhaps you can zoom in. Right, at the very top left of the installed turf, there are some benches installed there. Now, what we had done back in May, in advance of the playscape being installed, is we had put some table and chairs along the left side of that pathway. You know, kind of as a precursor to get people used to the idea that we might start activating the space in different ways. And we had gotten a request actually from Terry Reuter, the outgoing principal now of PSI's 276, who thought, hey, there were some tables and chairs in Wagner that's now closed. Maybe we can put them out for some of the kids to use during lunch. And that met with some success. They really, really liked them to the extent that they're out there for the last month or so of school. So those are still there. They're just one block up. And again, as Dan had said, and we had said, if this ends up down the road being that it's just some tables and chairs out there and that's it, then also fine. It's just something we want to continue to keep in touch with you all about.
Okay, I think nobody has anything else, we can move on.
Yeah.
I think we can move on. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Dan,
all.
thank you for your patience.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Okay, sounds good.
Maybe we'll call you earlier next time. All
I
right,
hope-
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Nick, you guys fight it out. Right, this is done next. Nick, you're on mute if you're talking.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Pat, if you'd like to go ahead, you know, I'm here for the duration, so as you are, I'm sure. If you'd like to go ahead, that's fine. If Justine, if that pleases the committee.
That's fine. You might want to pull up, because I think I need you to show it. 'Cause
Oh,
I don't-
yes, yes. You'll be so happy to know that I was 3 years into Zoom. I was still, or I guess WebEx, I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think I'm able to share my screen now, so stand by. I also threw in the chat there for the benefit of the group, the blog post we did back in May when we added the tables and chairs to that greenway, just for reference. So let me open this up, stand by, and I will get this open for you. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, can you see my screen?
No, not yet, but.
Okay, go ahead. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna scroll down to the last page. Pat, go ahead. If you can see the stats there, June 2022 against June 2023. Pat, go ahead, take it away.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello. Hey, Pat.
Interesting topics this evening. Okay. Looking at the statistics, graffiti last year, we had 50 reports. This year we had 2. Interactions with homeless people last year, we had 13. This year we had 11. Lost and found property, last year was at 24. This year we're at 11. Park rules, last year we were at 64. This year we had 24 reports. Vendors, last year we interacted with 5. This year for the month of June was 0. Dogs, last year we had 24 reports. This year we had 3.
Mary, go ahead.
Just thinking that maybe with Wagner Park unavailable, that's where a lot of these things had happened. And now there's that big chunk of space that's cut off.
Well, yeah, there's a big drop in everything. That's a good point. I was wondering, because I still see a lot of chatter on social media. I'm wondering if people just aren't calling.
Yeah.
And I think that's more, because I see, I mean, the dogs alone.
We were, hey, Patrick. We were
Yes.
told that ambassadors really don't approach the people with dogs on the lawns up in Rockefeller any longer and in the other parks, because
I'm sorry, Tammy, but you dropped out.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
What we were told, Patrick, in these social media chats and then the people calling us, is that the ambassadors just said that they stopped, and they have stopped approaching people with dogs in Rockefeller Park and the other parks, in part because the people were, with the dogs were aggressive and combative back, and the ambassadors didn't want to get engage them. But also because it wasn't worth it, and that's what the words were. It wasn't worth the effort to get the dogs off the lawn, considering the other side of the reaction. And I don't know, what have you, if anything, been told about that or heard about it?
Truthfully, I haven't heard anything about that. I have taken the peace officers, especially one that works over on the weekend, and he works to about 9 o'clock in the morning, and he hangs out up in Rockefeller Park while the other supervisor is posting everybody for the 7 to 3. So that sort of alleviated the person that was letting the dog loose in Rockefeller Park. We also now, with the special events that are going on in the park, we have extra staff up there working these special events. So like we had the River and Blues, Well, that involves 5 ambassadors during the course of a day, just being up there. And Parks is also doing in their program. So I've been working with Parks where they have identified like certain areas of the park where issues have popped up, and we've added geotags. One example is behind the Jewish Heritage Museum, where Parks let us know about an individual with a dog back there, and as a result, I've added the geotags in that particular area, and that has stopped. So, like what Marianne was saying, when Wagner Park closed, okay, the events that used to be held in Wagner are now being held in Rockefeller Park.
And you've got the people up there, maybe you've got more people, less space, which is good. I forget if we talked about this last month, but you know that a child was, hit by a car on Rector Place, right by West Thames Park. Thankfully, not permanently injured or anything horrifying, but was hit by a car. And I'm wondering, again, if there can be some ambassador set there, because
They just speed right through them.
well, the kid ran out. This kid was, the kid ran out, and there were a lot of people witnessing it. The kid shot it out after a ball, or they were playing water, squirting
Right.
water gun.
Yeah, he ran into the side of the car. The person thankfully stopped. And, everybody, all the right phone calls and everything was made at the time.
Okay, but and I don't know how to do that, but it's become at, the doorman at 200 Rector Place on the Long Rector, they tend to be, crossing guards almost, and they're acting as parents because the parents are either in the park where they don't know, or there's no parents there because the kids are there alone, and the kids are fighting, and they're young kids. They're like 10, 11 years old, 12 years old. They're fighting, but I'm wondering if there's just some supervision more.
It's supposed to be in the park.
That's not part of their park. They're there to.
Well, but
But
they're not in.
They're not there to supervise the kids in the park. You don't have to have parents that do that.
Yeah.
I mean.
Or just a presence, no?
No.
To walk by.
They're not there to.
Parent.
The parents are, yeah, they're not there, yeah.
But then the doormen are stepping up as parents, so.
That's what's ridiculous.
Because they're fighting close to our entrance.
Well, right, exactly. I mean, and when I say fighting, I don't mean like, fist fight. They're too small to be hurtful fighting. It's not that kind of danger. It's dangerous to themselves.
Yeah, but they could knock over somebody who's walking
Possibly.
a little less steady.
Okay, well,
So
they
that's why the doormen.
It's a parent's responsibility to take care of their children. You can't ask the ambassadors to watch out for kid behaviors. If they're destroying the park, absolutely. But, it's the same.
Yeah, okay.
You can ticket the child for doing something wrong. You can throw the kid out of the park.
Right.
For doing something wrong.
But the ambassadors do, the reason why I even brought it up is because West Thames Park is a park, and then Rector Oval there is a park, and
It's supposed to be
flow.
for quiet enjoyment, and if you're not careful, we're gonna get the kids kicked out of there.
Because the kids do run through it, that's a good point. All right, well, okay, so Patrick, isn't it good? You didn't have to say a word to shut me down. My own committee did.
Got there.
All right, thank you. No, that's okay, that's okay. Anybody else? Nobody, okay. Patrick, thank you so much. And I appreciate it, and I'll see you. Have a great August, and we'll see you in September.
Sounds great.
Nick?
You everybody the same, happy and healthy.
Thank you so much. Nick, you're up.
Okay, can you all hear me and see me? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have the old joke, that I have a face made for radio. Robin used to love that joke. So I'll keep this on as long as the throughput is fine. If not, I may take the camera off. But I'll just share my screen if you can all see the top of it there. And I'll go through this, Justine. I'll try and do it in about 10 minutes or so, okay?
Thank you.
A lot of which we covered, I think, in some other portions of the meeting this evening. So at the top there, you'll see a gorgeous shot. That was Lee Fields last week at his River and Blues show. Each Thursday in July, as you know, is River and Blues in its new home, Rockefeller Park. Just a magnificent place for an event. And you'll see there, that's the stage as oriented hard up against the top of the North Esplanade looking south. So that's the looking south on the north lawn of Rockefeller Park. We'll be out there again this Thursday with Tamacrest, and next Thursday, the 27th, with Allison Russell. So 2 great acts coming up, and really is one of the highlights of our year, the outdoor free summer concert series on the Hudson River waterfront. We have obviously COVID information up top, as we always do, just some links and hopeful information there about vaccines. Go ahead, Justine. Are you shushing me?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Nick, have you had any complaints about that stage cutting off the walkway behind it?
Believe it or not, no. Is this the first one, Eric?
It will be the first one, because when I went to go run, they cut off the complete walkway, so I had to walk around the stage, and they were setting up so I could just run on the grass. But if they were playing, then I would have to run through all these people or just, turn around. But they cut off the entire walkway. You couldn't walk through it.
And their back is in the water?
Their back is to the water.
They
So their
cut
back
their-
is
Yeah,
to
that's
the-
like the back of house during the show. So I will take it back to the team and relay it. I just to set expectations. I don't know. You'll pardon the pun. I don't know if there's a way around it. We had Wagner set up, and they would do the River and Blues there, or the Battery Dance Festival. The same thing would apply. That bottommost part where the back of the stage was, whereas that used to be at the nose of Wagner, is closed during the event, but then it's open after and before.
Okay.
But I'll take it back. Yeah. Okay.
Go
shall I
ahead, Nick.
continue? Okay. As you may have seen, there's a air quality health advisory. This was put out yesterday for today. Hopefully it's past us now, but for New York City folks who are New Yorkers and vulnerable groups, seniors and other folks with certain conditions, they are encouraged not to be engaging in vigorous outdoor exertion of themselves during the air quality health advisory, which I know Rick had mentioned some hours ago now, but just as an FYI, the information is there, and there's a helpful link you can use to check your air quality linked into the report. Okay, Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency, we did do some length tonight, but we have some information here. I have linked here, click here, which will lead you to the online tool. You'll see right there. Okay, let me X out of that so I can go back to my report. And then we have the write-up here about the number of attendees and input about the 30% design. It's also linked here as well. For the benefit of the group, it's also on the center of our website. So if you see the website here, I'll go to, if you can all see our website, this is the Battery Park City Authority website. Right in the middle of the home page of the website is the link to the online tool. If you go to our resiliency section, it's also at the top of the resiliency page there. It's also in the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project. Community Board, I think Tammy and the group were pushing that out. It was pushed out in our newsletter last week, and we pushed out periodically over the course of the coming weeks to ensure folks have additional opportunity to give their input in case they missed the June 30th meeting. Okay, going back to this now. South Battery Park City Resiliency, Rick gave his update a little while ago, and the next 2-week look ahead will be issued this Friday. That's July 20th, 21st. Okay, Battery Park City Greenway Playscape at the top of page 4. If you can still see my screen, we covered that as well. links to each of the prior presentations and the survey, which we said we would update with Transportation Committee questions and considerations. And that's linked there. And I'm just going to run through a couple of upcoming highlights for our summer schedule, as you all may be aware of. So we have the community center at Stuyvesant High School has expanded hours now for the summer, now that school is out, including tennis lessons and other fun and exciting events. You can get the full summer schedule linked right on our website. And I would remind folks, for the benefit of those who may be joining us for the first time or the first time in a while, very, very deeply discounted rates for Battery Park City residents. So if you are an adult in Battery Park City and you want to join the community center at Stuyvesant High School, which is run by BPCA 7 days a week when school is not in session, you can do that for $179 a year. So that's a yearly membership fee. If you're a senior and live in Battery Park City, it's $59 a year. So these are very deeply discounted rates for the benefit of the folks who live in Battery Park City. Okay, going back to the committee here. River and Blues, as we know, as I mentioned, this Thursday and next Thursday, Community Dance Party NYC is coming up on August 5th. I'm just going to run through a few of these quick now. Brass Queens on August 10th. That's a very exciting group from Queens. They are specialized in New Orleans brass and horn type ensembles, a traditionally male-dominated kind of specialty in music. This is a very exciting group that we have coming in on August 10th at Belvedere Plaza. And the Battery Dance Festival, as we know, that's August 12th to 18th. That's also going to be in its new home at Rockefeller Park. Roughly, I think, we're still finalizing, but it may be that same stage setup. But I will make sure that we're relaying again to the group and to our programming team that during hours when it's not required to have that back of house closed, that we obviously want to keep that open for circulation. Okay, we had this last month, but the community reminder for financial assistance for Medicare beneficiaries. If you're a New York State Medicare beneficiary, there's information there that the New York State Office for the Aging has put out. And then, as I always put at the bottom of the page here, sign in Rockefeller Park saying, please, no pets on lawns. As we know, it is kind of a bit of an exercise in playing whack-a-mole, but that is something that people should not be doing. Please don't have your dogs go on the lawn. Okay, Parks Happenings, we put this out every month, but just a few highlights here. We are, we've planted, you'll see here, page on the picture on the right, the Route 9A median has been planted with a selection of native salt-tolerant plants. So next time you're on that way or driving, you'll see some new plantings there. We are proceeding with our permeable paver pilot, which Justine was good enough to have us make a presentation about some months ago. This is to capture and reduce runoff of rain during storm events, and all part of our sustainability plan. And we have obviously our hanging baskets that are being watered regularly. I noted this last week, but I'll note it again. There is ongoing removal of dead or some dead or dying trees along River Terrace. That's just part of the circle of life, as it's termed there. But anything that is taken out or removed because it's dead or dying or damaged will be replaced during our next planting seasons. Planting seasons are traditionally in April and in October. So come this fall, when I'm back to you, I'll be letting you know about kind of locations for the planting of new trees that needed to be replaced over the course of our maintenance of Battery Park City's parks and public spaces. Just a few highlights here to run through. We don't have to, do it to any great extent, but City of Water Day was Saturday. That's a really fun project, an initiative that Waterfront Alliance runs every year to celebrate what people do on and in the water. Our parks operations and programming team talked a little bit about their work as environmental stewards. You'll see a highlight from River and Blues there. That's Lee Fields and team on the right. BPC Community Field Day is held every year. That was when school was out for summer. That was on June 28th, and we had a really great turnout, including coaches from the New York Liberty Music and ice cream, and even the Church Street Battery Park City Choir was there to do a few numbers. And the Swedish Midsummer Festival, you'll see there on the bottom right, about 6,000 people in Rockefeller Park, and a really interesting layout since the lawn is a large integrated lawn. It made for a different experience than in years past, and by all accounts, it was a really wonderful really wonderful venue for that. That was our 25th year of partnering with Sweden and New York on the Swedish Midsummer Festival, and it really was just a magnificent event, as it always is. Juneteenth, we marked on June 19th, which is the annual celebration which commemorates Emancipation Day in Galveston, Texas, in the post-Civil War era. And we had some nice information there on WPAX and CBS covering the day's events. Just a moment now to talk about P226M. Some of you may be aware of this, some may not, but for the benefit of the group, and for those who may not be aware, P226M is a school that's co-located in Stuyvesant High School. It's part of the Department of Education's District 75 program. And this is a program that's comprised of almost 5 dozen schools across the 5 boroughs that provide functional and instructional support to students with significant learning challenges. We have been honored, and I use that word with all sincerity, we have been honored to be able to partner with P226M for the past 7 years now, since 2016, to increase hands-on opportunities for students in the school, to give them kind of work readiness experience in advance of their graduating. So they work with our horticultural and programming teams. To date, we've gotten 70 or so students as part of that program. And it's always really an honor when we see them graduate and walk across the stage as they are ready to embark on the next stage of their lives. So that's always a special event. And that was on June 15th. We had the Silent Disco Pride Party that evening. And Omni is the contactless fare payment system that MTA is rolling out. I mentioned this in my last report. We had a nice turnout there on June 14th at 6 River Terrace for seniors and others who might be wondering about the project, don't necessarily maybe carry phones with them or worry about taking their payment forms out in public. MTA was there to walk them through how the new contactless payment system works and answer any questions. That is mostly a community dance. Mambo was on June 10th, which was great. There's no place better for a community dance program than Esplanade Plaza. You'll see some great pics there. And Pat covered our allied statistics. Events coming up just for the balance of the summer there, Justine. There's a few, but not very many and relatively low impact. You'll see MVS Foundation on the 27th of August. You'll have Zero Prostate Cancer 5K and Alzheimer's Foundation of America. Each are a few hundred people at most. And each of the setups there are along Esplanade Plaza from 7 to 2 p.m. with the date ranges. So they're one-day events in and out and should be fairly smooth. The last thing I would note for the benefit of the group, I'm assuming I'll see Tammy and some of the other leadership there, is National Night Out Against Crime is Tuesday night, August 1st. That's from 6 to 8 at the South Street Seaport. And that's in partnership with our great friends at the First Precinct who work with us on so many things. And that's it. A little bit more than 10 minutes. I'm sorry, Justine, but any other questions, you let me know.
Thank you.
Run walks for September?
Yes, they are. Run walks for September are listed.
Yeah,
And
the
there's small ones.
other thing I would have, I didn't put it in yet because it's still a ways out. Stephen Siller, as you know, comes up, but that's toward the end of the month. So when I'm back to you in September, of details, I think, let me see if I have the dates. But any issues, I usually Tunnel of Towers is a pretty welcome and smoothly planned out event, but any questions on Stephen Siller, let me know.
No, that's perfect. They've come in and they're coming this month to exec. Okay.
Oh, they are. Great.
So
Great. Okay. Great. Let me see while you're doing that. Let me just check and make sure I have that date. I think it's in the 20s.
It's the third. Who? For executive or for September for Tunnel to Towers?
Go ahead. Oh, not me.
They all say come up at 7 a.m. start time, but it's got to be quiet. Is what I'm assuming. They're setting up.
Yeah, that's just set up.
5 till 9 or whatever. Because that's not Plaza is right outside of the gateway. Sarah says. So can can you make a point of reaching out to these folks and remind them that they're in a, no amplified, that no amplified, I'm assuming that no amplified sound because that's part of the environments. But can you tell me about that stuff? I don't love the 7 a.m. start.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you still hear me? Okay, you were cutting out a little bit. I think the concern was about the 7 a.m. start. That's basically just for setup, but it's noted. People may get there and kind of maybe get excited and whatnot, and want to make sure that they're not unduly impacting the larger residential complex in Battery Park City, which is right there. So I will make sure that they are doubly aware that that's right there. They should be already, but I'll get with the permit team in Nydia and make sure. Steven
And
Silver,
there's
by the
no
way, is the
ample-
weekend of the 23rd, 24th. That's the Tunnel of Towers.
And there's no amplified sound for these things? I mean, there's not that many people.
It's a couple hundred people. They may just have like the welcome back or, welcome to the finish line or whatnot. I'll confirm. But if that's the case, that would be once the event is over, not at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not so bad. All right, that was one. I have one thing that I'm gonna give Jonathan a chance, because he's got a question for you.
Yeah, I have a question, but it's really outside of the purview. since
Okay,
I'm
so
getting-
let me ask my questions, and this is kind of pulling Mary Ann into it too. I like the fact that you did the Omni presentation for the seniors. I love the fact that you did Medicare. So what about coming up with like a hearing loss mobility bus, like how you had the breast cancer people come to the screening? What about hearing screening? And I put that as a bug in your ear to set it up.
Hey.
I wasn't making fun, darn it. I wasn't, but I did. But yeah, think about that as an idea.
I'll add it to my running list here. I'm gonna just
Yeah.
stop sharing my screen for a second so I can just pull this up. But yes, let me put that in. I would add one more thing if there's another question, but I did want to also add, we're a little bit past it now, but regarding the sidewalk shed, just for the record, for the team here, thank you for hosting that conversation tonight, Justine, and to all the folks who participated. Just for the benefit of the group, I think we kind of alluded to it, but our interests are aligned with the community boards here. We don't want access to the park limited, and we don't want the park to be closed to the extent that it doesn't need to be closed.
Yeah.
Thank you for the conversation that you and Tammy and I had. We had a conversation with Jasmine Figueroa and her team at the leadership level, and we've been kind of working extensively and pushing to the extent that we can with DOB as well, being cognizant that safety has to be the preeminent concern, but we really want to make sure that we are taking this to the limit that we can so as to minimize impacts as best we can. And obviously, as you know, we've held on issuing anything yet because we wanted to make sure the community had the opportunity to have a good conversation about it. So more to come, I guess, as we go, but we'll stay in touch on that and in close touch at that.
Let's talk tomorrow, because I really, we did in the resolution, I don't want to have to ask you, or maybe I did ask you for the letter of hardship. I mean, but I don't want it to have to be twisting your arm. I think a letter of hardship to the community on behalf of the park closure would be really helpful in your response to the DOB.
Yeah,
That seemed
we
to be
discussed it, and I want to make sure, certainly I'm running that through the paces here, but again, we want to make sure that DOB understands that we are aligned on this with not only our wishes, community wishes. We don't want to have parks closed if we don't have to have them closed.
Yep, and before I kick it to the question of Jonathan, on the idea of that, we may come back and have another conversation about the closure of the Esplanade. But I need to talk and get information from the buildings, not just the contractor, because I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
And you
this was,
should do a
this
little-
was about 380.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll check on that too. The Esplanade currently isn't closed. Beds next to the Esplanade are closed, but the access that our team needs to make sure that they're maintaining it and watering the plants is maintained. But the Esplanade should be clear through. But there's plans to change that. I'll let you know. But again, we would push back on that too.
I think they're gonna scaffold it, but closing it.
No, what she
Oh,
specifically.
she did say scaffold?
No. What she specifically said is they're not working on that side of the building yet, but when they do work on that side of the building, their approved plan calls for closing the Esplanade during work hours in any area that doesn't have a sidewalk shed. So that's what she's under the impression that they're going to be doing.
So let's talk about that. And I
Yep.
know who we can talk.
Yeah, let's
That's
connect
tomorrow.
on it. Let's connect on it.
Okay, Jonathan, you're up.
Just one thing about that, 225, all they did was have a shed around. They had nothing anywhere else across anywhere. Because I was involved in that, and that went down probably 2 years ago. They took it down. So, but they might have had different pointing to be done than 200 has to be done. They all have different pointing and different issues, so you don't know.
Well, they don't know.
May not have been enforcing things the way
They
they
were
were.
2 years ago, is different than today.
Different.
My question, to you, Nick, and I appreciate it, and this is out of this CB1, is overnight, they put a city, bike on South End Avenue, and I was told it was approved by the authority. Now, the issue with that is nobody ever uses it, because I've taken pictures, and now the Amazon trucks block it, and you can't even get bikes out of there. You can't even put bikes in there. Took up 6 parking spots. We've lost about 45% of the parking in the south end alone, because I've actually monitored every spot that's gone between government agencies and placards and, just whatever it is. And we remove, nobody uses those city, there's 3 spaces, one in front of Brookfield, one at West Thames, and all of a sudden, you've got 25 bikes right on South End Avenue between Albany and Rector Place. Why was that approved so quickly?
And if
why
I,
did that happen, Nick?
and as a city bike user, when I saw it, I immediately thought, why didn't they put it closer to West Street? Near one of the Brookfield buildings, just the way there's plenty of open space there.
Yeah.
In fact, I even think Betty and I touched base on that
Yeah.
early on,
And and
because
it's closer, it's not in the middle
by
of
the
the
bike
street,
path.
and it's closer to the walk to the greenway. Totally makes sense.
You
We
mean
did,
where Community Board 1 suggested?
yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So Jonathan, before Nick jumps in, we did talk about
No, I
this.
know that. I
Yeah.
spoke to Tammy about it.
Yeah.
And she said to me, it wasn't one of the places that you suggested.
Correct.
That's why I'm going outside of CB1 and.
Going straight to Nick, yeah.
Straight to Nick.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. It was unfortunate because it's, Nick, yeah, answer.
So, yes, thank you. I know this came up, I think it was maybe back in May or so, we discussed this as well. And I had followed up after that meeting with Ed Pinkar at DOT. And I'd asked him and his as we had said as well, if there's a want to revisit this on the community boards, if there's a want of the community board to revisit this, then they should definitely reach out to DOT, and we are happy to be part of those conversations. The options that we were given from DOT were not the options that I know Tammy was very keen on, which frankly, I think they make sense too if taken in isolation, but when not taken in isolation, I don't think they do. So as I understand it, the area at Brookfield Place, the southern, outside our building, which is along Albany Street. I think there was some subsurface infrastructure there that can't be reconciled with putting the size of the installation that would be in there for bikes. And in the street, I believe it was a turning radius issue or something along the lines of traffic. I don't want to speak out of turn. I have to find my notes from when I connected with Ed, but I did follow up about those 2 questions. The options we were given were either the end of Albany Street, which is right off the Esplanade, next to Gateway Plaza by the upper room, which didn't work because that was right on the Esplanade. And based on our work previously with Community Board and the Bicycle Working Group, which we're very proud of. I know Justine was a part of that and others. One of the ideas was we said we didn't want to have, to the extent that we could, bikes close to the Esplanade because they didn't want to encourage folks or encourage more folks to use the Esplanade when they had the fastest north-south route, which is the Greenway, which they should use up and down, especially since it had just reopened at that point once they finished the underground construction connecting Brookfield Place with the Oculus. So right up against the Esplanade would, I guess, again, come with its own set of problems, including people coming onto the Esplanade, speeding down with bikes, and that wasn't ideal. As I understood it, it was put to the community board, and I don't want to speak for Tammy. I think that they didn't love any of the solutions, but of the two, that was preferable, or that itself was not preferable to the other solutions, which, as I understand it, were not possible. So that's where we're at. All of that is to say, community board doesn't want it. Please revisit with DOT. It's DOT's program. We're happy to be part of those conversations and not to give the new person more work than they're already going to have. But when the next district manager takes their spot, perhaps they can engage with DOT and have a conversation about why they want the city bike station moved. We would gladly be part of that
Nick?
conversation. Yep.
This email that's going out to Big Park, I've gotten nothing but. Since it's
I can't.
gone.
Go ahead.
Weekly texts from people.
Tammy, you need to.
Yeah, we're only catching every other word.
Sorry, Tam. Here she comes.
Okay, that better?
Much better.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to send an email over to DOT because I have gotten multiple complaints. Not only did we hear complaints from the businesses there because it's took away their loading zone, but we've gotten complaints from residents because now you have all the Amazon trucks that are double parked outside of the bike rack. So it's had a double impact in negative feedback that I get that comes to the community board. There are locations that we asked for the BPCA to potentially work with Brookfield to support that are in the dead zone that is on the corner of Albany and South End Avenue. There's an area right there that has trees, but it's underutilized. And it is off the street on the sidewalk, but closer to West Street. They also have a driveway that they no longer use because there's no longer a main arrival or departure in front of the building. And questioning to whether it could have been sited over there as well. So the one sites that you are referring to that have substructure, there are others around the area that we requested that potentially are worked on with Brookfield.
Okay. Happy to be, again, happy to be part of the conversations. I don't want to shunt it off to another agency, so I want to be part of it. But ultimately, it's DOT's decision based on the needs for the program. But certainly we are happy to advocate for what we are hearing from the community board.
Yes, because DOT did say that BPCA approved it. Just so you know.
Yes, and I approved it because I heard you liked it.
Nope. Yeah, there were many emails that said no, 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 and no.
Yeah.
Followed by no.
Yeah, so.
Okay, this is Mary Ann. I have a suggestion. Instead of every month, Nick, you usually, and I shouldn't address this to Nick, I should address this to the chairman, people who are present. Instead of you telling us a lot of stuff that you can find on the website, that we get in the monthly email that we send, et cetera, activities, maybe the time with you would be better spent with you and giving us feedback on those questions. Because just now you said there was a site that where it was suggested to put the bicycles, but they would be covering an area where they have to get underneath for infrastructure, so couldn't go there. It would be good to know that that's the reason it didn't go there. So maybe you could come to these meetings with information based on questions asked the previous month, and then we'd be getting a flow of info on a much more timely basis.
It might give you some access. That's a good idea. And it might be a easy half hour back and forth for conversations, whether it's about resiliency or something else in the neighborhood that's going on.
And be able to make a little more progress on things that are pending.
Because this was a nice interlude after your report, to have this conversation and have this interaction. So that's something that we can talk about that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we have the conversation every month. I do think it's important to put the report together because there's a lot that we're doing. I also put a lot of time into it. So if you don't want me to do the report, I can get, a decent part of my week back not preparing the report. But I do think there's value in doing that because we put a lot of stuff in it. And I think there's a lot of stuff we don't put in because we have to select the best things. Again, the DOT stuff, I understand it's a sore spot. It's not our project. It's DOT. Please direct your questions and concerns to them. About the double parking, I understand the concern, but I'm unclear as to how Amazon trucks would not double park if that was still regular parking. They would still double park, right?
Unless they were parked in the parking spaces.
Well, usually cars are there.
If they were, or they were parked by the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
They can't. There's not enough room for them to do up there.
Yeah. So again, happy always to address this stuff, but this was, as I understand, this was back done like in February. And my understanding was the community board was going to get an official communique from DOT saying this is the location that was chosen. I don't want to speak for DOT or what was responded to or received by the community board, but this only came back on my radar months later after I was under the impression that DOT was notifying the community board of its decision.
I think it came back when when it was installed. People were like, what the heck is going on? But no, I just have to say, Nick, no, the report as prepared it's interesting, it's vital, and it's a good part of the record. And it's really nice to have it as a thing. So no, sorry. I like it. I want it. I'd like you to keep doing it. And I'm sorry it takes you the time to do it. I think what Mary Ann was.
It's a labor of love. It is actually very helpful to look back and say, what was I working on last March? I was like, oh, this was the big thing that was happening. And it's helpful to know, and it's good to have the conversation.
I like having the interaction. But yes, I think that people are waving at me and telling me it's time to go home. So I'm gonna call this meeting to an end. If everybody is okay. All right. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.